You ready?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. First thing, we'll look at the minutes last week.
I move to approve the minutes from March 5th, 2018. Does it help if we read them aloud? Anyone out there?
I have a second.
Just out of curiosity.
Well, I was here last week, so I kind of know.
Yeah.
Except for those, I guess, who aren't, it'd be kind of nice.
Yeah. I mean, I know in a lot of meetings, they get read aloud, but I guess if you're following, you can look at that. They're online and such if you're following along. But
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from last week. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I have a letter here about the North Central Kansas County Highway officials. Spring meeting, it's a yearly event. It's going to be held in Concordia this year. I don't know if either one of you are interested in going or not. It's going to be on April the 4th.
what time? Is it afternoon?
9 a.m. Registration at 8. Meeting starts at 9. It'll go through early afternoon with a lunch provided. Debora coming down though?
She'll be here about that agreement, so if you have your agreements with you.
Yeah, I don't have anything extra from the nursing home, so I'm not sure. We didn't even review them
Well,
individually.
yeah, I looked through them, and I think Al Joe did, and then they were laying here, and I don't know what I could do. There she is. We're running a little ahead, Debora, I think we can go ahead and take care of you.
Oh, you're ready for me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing I came early then. Simple, easy. I came back about the agreement that we need to sign, for the physical capacity profile testing. I gave each of you one, but I brought another copy so that somebody will need to sign that today. They're moving forward, they're looking at our job descriptions, and they're probably gonna send somebody out this week. And, partly because it's the biggest department with the most employees and whatnot, they're gonna start with Public Works and look at theirs first, and then probably look at the Sheriff's Department ones, and so on and so forth, if that sounds good to you guys, so.
And so they'll be establishing a baseline.
Yep. I send them all of our job descriptions, they know which ones they wanna, they need to kind of, come out and take a look at, and that's why they're gonna start with Public Works.
Okay,
So-
and then the handbook needs to be updated.
Yes.
Do we need to do that before, as we do this, or can we wait until they get a baseline?
Well, the whole handbook, pretty much, is
Yeah.
something that we have to address. I did talk to Camp, and Bud Cowan said that somebody from the firm would assist us with that. He said that since we did a huge overhaul the last time and did a lot of updating, he felt like it wouldn't be near as extensive this time as it was the last time. The last time it ran a little over, it was under $4,000. It was between $3,000 and $4,000 because it's a per hour rate. And he said that he didn't feel that it would be as expensive, and he felt that another way to alleviate some of the cost would be, like the last time we sent it to them and then they sent it back, and we kind of went through the ones that they suggested, and then it kept going back a lot. He suggested that maybe we review it ourselves first, make any changes that we're interested in, and then send it to them. And he said that would cut down some of the cost. Is that something that we want to do?
Yeah.
You're saying last time we paid the insurance company $4,000 to approve our handbook? No, we paid the law firm. We paid, I think they were they Shook, Hardy and Bacon still then?
It's
They-
not part of our agreement with KP.
It's outside our Camp agreement. Through Bud
Cowan?
He's the attorney assist through Camp. His name is Bud Cowan. But his firm that he works for now is Bolston Siefkin, and they're out of Kansas City. And they have a guy there that specializes in that, and we would pay them to do it. So he'll oversee it. Sounds like a good deal for him. It's not for him. He doesn't get a dime. He's through Camp. Camp pays him. We would utilize a member of the firm. It kind of
His firm?
the firm that he works
They
for
just specialize
in employment law. And there is a couple of individuals in the firm and one of them would assist us, one of them who specializes in employee handbooks and is up to date on all the current employment law. And then, like last time, they looked at what we had, they made suggestions for policies that we didn't have that maybe we should consider. Any new changes in the law that we needed to make adjustments for and whatnot.
Well, if we're
I
gonna-
don't see why we can't go over it ourselves and at least see where we are. There might not be things that
Yeah.
need legal attention as far as we do this or we don't do this, take it out or leave it in.
There's probably a few things that they will need to look at, and we should want them to do that. We should want to make sure that we're up on all the current laws, current policies. I think our weapons policy probably needs to be adjusted yet again because of all the constant changes.
What year was that?
I wanna say 12, yes.
Well, that's when it was effective, so it was probably in 2011.
But we would want them to review any changes that we make, as kind of like you wanted them to look at the job descriptions. We most definitely would want them to look at the handbook to make sure that we.
You had that same firm look at the job descriptions, or you sent it to the
I sent them
insurance
to
company?
him, and he suggested that we just run them through Jennifer, because he said that he didn't feel like that was an added expense we needed to incur, and he said that Jennifer could look at those, and I did. I sent them down to her to review. But where the handbook is concerned, I think that we need to go through it. When we're done doing our part, I think we should send it to them to have them look at any policies that we change.
How do you want to split it up? Do you want to do
Do you,
a few sections at a time?
do you want to include input from department heads, or is it something that we want to do without department heads? Some of the department heads have expressed some desire to see a few policies changed. One of them suggested that maybe if we had a department head meeting in which department heads could bring whatever they felt they were interested in us considering for changes, and then bring those to you guys, and then you guys go through the handbook.
I would think that the department head should go through their,
Some input.
through
Make
there
some, what they feel would be
Yes.
recommendations, but it's up to you guys
Recommendations.
what changes, because not
So we
everything that
can
they
see
might
them, yeah.
want would you want.
yeah. Yeah, I think they need to do their work first before we,
So would you be okay that in the next few weeks I set up a department head meeting and give them the opportunity to come in and share what kinds of input they might like to see in handbook changes, and then I can kind of put all that together, and then I could maybe break down the handbook maybe a few sections at a time for you guys to start looking at,
Yeah.
and then kind of like the job descriptions, I'll give you so much to take home, kind of for homework for you guys to
That
review,
works.
and then,
Yeah, that worked well.
would that be okay?
That'd be fine.
I think that'd be the best
Okay,
way.
and I do think if we do that, there won't be near the type of cost to have them review what changes we make.
Is the health insurance addressed in there? I haven't read through it in quite a few months.
It does list in the handbook, I don't have it in front of me word for word, but I know that there's a section that lists like benefits that are offered. If there's something more specific or specific that we want to address in there, we sure can look at, because like I said, it's been since 2012.
Do you as HR personally, I know we went through some changes here last year with the budget and looking at what we were gonna cover because we were incurring some increasing
Yes.
costs
Yes.
from the health insurance company, from like with whom we contract.
Mhm.
So I'm just wondering, do you personally interact and update each individual employee as far as what those changes are? Because I'm pretty sure I remember from our conversations, you were going to inform them ahead of time that we were expecting some changes and.
We did, like the highway department was having a group meeting, so I went down there and visited with them about the potential cost increase and where we thought it might go. I visited with LaDonna so that she could make sure that her staff knew that there was gonna be increases, and same thing with the sheriff's department and EMS. I kind of let the department heads know and the employees know that we were looking at potentially increasing their out-of-pocket costs to them.
Did you address it at the?
And then in October, we had open enrollment, and we tell them that they all have to come, and we do everything we can to get every one of them. And at that point, went over, well, you were there, in depth,
Yeah,
all the
at
changes
the-
that the state had made to the plan, and the changes that we were making in terms of the cost to the employee.
Okay.
And then when it came time to do their open enrollment, we encouraged them to either get somebody like Liz to help them, or to come here for us to help them, so we could help them with whatever questions they had. And we helped a lot of people with their open enrollment. There were a lot that did it on their own and did a great job, and those that still had questions came up afterwards and visited with us about where they thought they wanted to go in terms of what plan and what they thought they could afford and what changes they.
I got a little bit of feedback about some confusion as to where those changes were coming from, and I'm guessing it was through you expressing, I don't know, maybe someone particular on the board was pushing these things or pushing a cost increase to the employee, and I'm just a little confused as to how that would be misconstrued when it's a board decision, so it's
Mhm.
gotta have two
Yes.
votes. And I've been approached by several employees who have asked me personally why I would come onto the commission and demand an increase to the employees for their portion of the pay to the insurance policy. And I know it was well explained by Mr. Wallace, who was the chairman at the time, that they had been looking at this increase for at least the prior year, if not even before that.
If you were asking, did I tell them that it was your fault they had to pay more? No, I did not tell them. You know, when we were at the highway department the day, and there were employees that complained about the increase, we talked about how much the insurance cost and how much of a burden it was on the taxpayers for us to have the insurance that we have, and that at some point, if they didn't want to pay more taxes either, they had to start, something had to give. Because we had employees that complained and said, why should I have to pay more for my health insurance? And I said, well, why should any of us have to pay more taxes so we can have better health insurance? But I did not tell the employees it was your fault, and that you're the one who made them pay more. It was time. It was a decision that you guys made as a board, and it was time for the employees to incur more of a cost. You were probably the more vocal one that they might have seen on YouTube and whatnot when we talked about questions and had questions, but I did not tell the employees that it was your fault. I did not blame you for that. They read the minutes, they watched some of the meetings.
But now we need to approve this contract if we're gonna do it.
Yes.
I'd move we approve the contract.
A second.
Motion and a second to approve the contract with Occupational Performance Corporation to do pre-employment screenings. Is there any further discussion? If not,
I
I'll-
get just, do we need to adopt anything before
We
they
should
start?
eventually, they haven't started, they're not gonna start yet. It's gonna be a few more weeks. I sent that to Jennifer, and she's good with it, and I did send it to K Camp, and I was waiting to hear back from them.
Okay.
But eventually, yes.
Okay, I didn't,
They're still in the preliminary part
Okay,
yet, so I
all right,
figure
all right.
probably wait to hear back from K Camp and then kind of go from there,
Okay.
if that works for you.
all right, that's fine. That's the
Okay.
only question.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
You want my signature or?
I would say yes. As the chairman, I would suggest that you sign. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, John Pancost?
Yes.
And you're here to talk about steps.
I reckon your maintenance guy, John Ellis, is that what his?
Uh-huh.
John Paul Ellis?
Yeah.
He called me a few weeks ago and asked me to come take a look at these steps out front and in the back.
And give us a little bit of
Had some
background.
recommendations, yeah, I guess, basically, you know, I told him what I thought, and he said, well, would you be willing to talk to the commissioners about it?
And you have a stone quarry and you do stone work.
Right,
Yeah.
right, we do a lot of restoration, preservation work, and
From up around Lucas, right?
yes, yeah, we've got a stone quarry, we do new construction as well, so. So, yeah, you know, I got, well, just in terms of what we've done in this area, the addition on the Carnegie Library that took place, I don't know, about 10 years ago, I guess. We cut all the stone for that, your St. Patrick's Church did that, actually installed that, so.
So you're familiar with the historical preservation?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's kind of how I ended up out here.
Okay.
All right, local,
Okay.
I just ended up out here.
All right.
I think that was our primary concern, is getting someone who would be familiar with what the specifics are so that we are eligible for the grant money
Grant money, so you're looking for grant money.
with
Yeah.
the Historical Society from the
Yeah,
state so
right.
that we can do a renovation. I don't know, we were gonna do the steps and someone had mentioned windows, I don't think that's part of it at this time, but there's a cost sharing program that we want to apply for.
Right. So have you guys had an assessment done by? No.
No,
Well,
we haven't
last-
yet, we're just in the preliminary.
Because that was pretty much what my recommendation is. I
Yeah.
mean, after taking a look at the front steps, and it's clear that the concrete work that was done to the steps up there in the front, I mean, I don't believe clearly that's not original work.
No.
And the quality of it, I mean, it's neither here nor there at this point. But there must have been some sort of vault beneath that originally, or those steps didn't exist originally. We looked at some pictures that you have upstairs. I couldn't quite come up with it out of the pictures that I saw.
I think at one time the steps were stone, weren't they? I believe at one time, years ago, the steps were actually stone.
Well, considering the date, you know, when the building was constructed, it would make more sense that there was, you know, some sort of a barrel vault beneath it, if they're original to the structure, you know, and stone steps that went up through there. But, you know, I'm not qualified to engineer, especially this being a public building. You know, there's just a huge exposure and liability to me to engineer or, you know, do any sort of construction there without, you know, clear instructions from an engineer. So, anyway, and you know, John had, you know, we had discussed it for a while, and I think Kelly Larson, we were walking around with Kelly Larson, just what the possibilities, what the alternatives would be. My point would be my recommendation would be to find a trained, qualified architect or engineer. And if you go to you've probably already been to the state historic sites, they have a list of contractors that they work with, which I printed out the architects that are available to do this sort of work, which I was surprised actually that there are this many people, this many firms that are willing to do historic preservation. There's only a few engineers available. Some of them are local, although I mean Fred Abercrombie's on top of the list here, but I think Fred's pretty much retired.
Yes, I believe he has.
And I've worked with a few of the other firms there. Trainer is one I would highly recommend, out of Topeka. They sort of specialize in these, like the State House. They did the State House. They're working in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and Oklahoma City. Julia Manglitz is an acquaintance of mine, who I feel is very, very highly qualified. But you could, you know, contact any one of these firms, and you could probably get an estimate on what it would cost to do a full assessment. And of course, if you get a full assessment, then you're going to be able to do some long-range fiscal planning. You're going to be able to, you know, I think you're going to be more qualified for a grant, which you're probably going to need. And you would be able to look at the entire project, do it more holistically rather than just problem solving one thing at a time. So anyway, that's my recommendation. I just don't want to be put in the position to try to engineer your stairs, especially here on this public works.
Is that because you can't just fix them the way they exist? You need to start over. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, you know, the problem with our material here in this portion of Kansas is that it's not the hardest limestone you'll find even in Kansas. And when you have an extremely hard material right next to this softer material, what generally tends to happen, well, you look up, if you go underneath those stairs right now, if you walked up that door, you'd look up, you'd see there's two huge gaps. Well, because there's no expansion joint in there. When they did that, there should have been an expansion joint put in there. That was not put in. But what you also have is a really hard concrete next to a softer material. So whenever there's moisture introduced, it's still there from the last, and when's the last time it rained? My God, there's still moisture in the wall there. It's driven into the softer, more porous material, which is our limestone. So that makes it more susceptible to the geologic process, the freezing, expansion, and contraction of the moisture inside the stone. So it'll start to spall and break apart. That's why you'll see joints that you know they didn't put in, they weren't 2 inches when they started. you know, they were half-inch joint, they were qualified, they were good skilled masons. But over the years, we've had this deterioration as a result of moisture penetrating the strata. So, it's just a problem that we deal with all the time here. And
Did you want this back or you want?
no, that's for me, I just printed it out for you.
Thank you.
So, anyway, so I think that you'd be miles ahead to, you know, it's not gonna be cheap, but to get a full assessment from a qualified firm and engineers, and they would give you all the information you need to then, put out an invitation to bid, and you're gonna get better bids. The more, if your construction documents are complete, then you're gonna get a more complete bid. If you, and you can get a bid for the entire project or even just one section of the project. But you know, a contractor can't afford to play engineer because you just don't have the liability to
So
cover
is
your
that the
butt.
same situation with the back steps as well?
The back steps, they're awful. I just came in that way. I don't know when those were added, but you can see that there's a big cold joint, and it's just, those wouldn't be a problem. I tear those off and replace them with, you know, with stone without any engineering issues, really. I mean, I would feel comfortable with
So
that.
it's more because the front ones are suspended and there's
Yeah. Yeah,
the
because-
walkthrough underneath
Yep,
and the entrance?
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was some additional work done there at some point because there's a concrete lintel above the access doors there. Those doors were added in the 60s or something. Yeah, they're not original to the structure. I'd like to know if the whole front steps, if those are original. I didn't see anything to confirm it.
Museum might have more pictures,
Right.
possibly.
Maybe I'll run down there after we're done here.
I think I've seen a picture of it with the stone steps someplace.
But what was the date, you know? And when did they add that concrete? Because that is certainly not original.
Way
I wonder
before,
if they didn't do it, cause out this here used to be an entrance, is what our history kind of tells us through minutes. And so when they converted, this was the janitor's living area down here a long time ago. And I wonder if when they converted this into office space, they didn't install the front entrance and get rid of the side entrance.
it's possible.
And then I'm assuming that once they added that entrance, they had to have some way to make it work.
My heart. So that's about all I got. You know, I just think you'd be way ahead to get an assessment, full assessment. And I don't know, like I said, there's a trainer. Let me see that list. Fred's out. He's retired.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't take this on anyway. There was one other firm that I had worked with on here. I think it was Helix. What was the name of the company? Jones Gillum. They're out of Salina. That's a good firm. So, those are the only three that I've worked with, so I have no opinion on the rest. And that's all I got.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming and looking it over for us
Yep.
and giving us some recommendations.
Right, just keep
Yeah.
us on your list, you know. You definitely want to be included for an invitation to bid on that.
Certainly, we will.
All right.
Thank
All
you.
right. You're welcome.
You did a good job on the library, that's.
Yeah, that
it
was a
looks
fun
good.
project.
It looks
It was a
good.
really fun project.
You would never know that.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Who do we want to give this list to? And at least, I think we should at least contact the three that you recommended to start with.
Yeah, I think we'll get Michel.
Is there grant money for assessments too?
I think there
Dawn?
was
I
one.
think we can incorporate the entire cost and then look at the 80-20, wasn't it 80-20
I believe-
share?
Yeah, I think it's an 80-20 grant, or was.
What else did we
But
say
it's,
though?
but it's limited to so much money, isn't it?
Right.
80
I
or
mean,
90,000.
Right.
Yeah,
But what else did we say? We said the steps and we had talked
It
about
has
the
to be
windows
painted.
last year.
It needs to be
Oh, the
painted.
paint, that's
It's
what
gotta
it
be
was, the
painted.
paint. Yeah,
but that's
Paint
kind of
could
a,
be kind of
that
a
could be
separate deal.
separate,
than-
Yeah.
because we don't need the architect for the paint, for sure, I would think. Do you remember last year when the State Historical Society came and they said they wouldn't recommend replacing the windows because
Yeah.
there were several reasons, but I think the one was, I don't think the efficiency savings would ever cover the cost of the project.
Marion County did theirs, Marion County did their courthouse windows, and It was millions of dollars. I forgot how many million they spent. I couldn't believe it. It took like 2 or 3 years because they took each window out and they had to send it somewhere because
It was
you
a
gotta-
special size
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah.
and you had to be certain glass, and I mean, it was.
Well, don't we
I
have-
was amazed that they even did it, but
They did
it
that
was 2
over
or 3
here at the
million.
Scout Museum, and Crispin's did that. They took those windows out and had them rebuilt and put back in.
It's expensive.
At the museum. Because they weren't done correctly? Well, and don't we
Just
have like the
interior.
curve that, on the, what do you call those? The rounded
They were
part?
trying to do.
Yeah, some of those windows are shaped.
You know, we had someone come in one time and try to sell us some windows, and I can't remember now. He added them all up, and there were,
Over 100.
I thought he said 98.
I was
Oh, I know, it was
around
100.
100.
Yeah, it was
I'm
around
sure.
1,000?
100 windows.
Windows to do.
That wasn't even the
Oh,
price.
in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you look on the outside and it doesn't look like there's very many,
But-
but by the time you have 3 floors.
Yeah.
And Marion County even had more than we do, I think, from the looks of their courthouse.
But I think most of them are repairable as they are where they're at. They might, need a little small repairs to them and reglazed and stuff. If everybody's here with Shirley, if we go ahead and go on that, or
You wait for her, Shirley.
yeah.
Shirley?
Shirley, do you have anyone coming that's not here already?
Nope, we're here.
Okay. Well, we're running a little ahead of time, so we'll go ahead and take care of you if everyone that you are bringing with you is here.
Okay, yeah, he's here. He said, I'm here today again to ask for funding for the Sylvan Senior Center to keep our electricity and heat on for the senior center who use it, in Sylvan Grove. And again, I'm gonna just read this notice that we presented you last week. We, the officers and members of the Sylvan Grove Senior Center, hereby formally notify the Lincoln County that our organization does not recognize the Lincoln County Council on Aging as a legitimate steward of our Lincoln County Elderly Services mill levy money, nor are they a public agency having any statutory authority over the Sylvan Senior Center. The SSC is a registered independent Kansas non-profit charity organization despite the LCC's continued effort to make up their own bureaucratic rules and act like the IRS. They have no real statutory or regulatory power over our organization. They have no sign rights to force bylaws changes on our organization or change our membership rules as they have recently attempted to do. The LCC board has, I'm nervous today for some reason, time change I guess.
That could very well be it.
I could be in bed yet. The
That's at
LCCA
me, so.
board has subjected any non-for-profit seeking funds to comply with endless honorary and unequally enforced compliance rules that change nearly every board meeting. With respect to the SSC, these onerous, ever-changing rules only serve to bullying, harass, and malign our organization. The Sylvan Senior Center received only a few $1,000s last year out of the many tens of thousands of dollars given to the LCCA and before. But the SSC has had to make in-kind donations of thousands of dollars in free administrative volunteer labor just to comply with the endless rules made up by the LCCA. All those wasted hours attempting compliance with unnecessary rules were hours that we could have spent providing more elderly service to our community members. In the future, Sylvan Senior Center will only accept elderly services mill levy money directed from the Lincoln County and to abide by the reasonable record keeping and annual filing provision of the KSA 45-240. If Lincoln County is truly serious about expanding elderly service programs throughout the county, then we will begin allocating this money directly to nonprofits throughout the county and stop giving all the mill levy money to the County Council on Aging for their exclusive control. The LCCA consumes a great deal of the money each year for their own administrative expenses as part of due to their endless red tape rules. Instead of distributing all the mill levy money on a timely regulatory standard way, the records finally obtained through Cora have shown that they have been continually keeping substantial amounts of mill levy money in private savings accounts and multi-year certificates of deposit rather than distributing the money in it as they should have all these years for the elderly services. This is why we call to have the LCCA board books audited. The attempt to audit our books was simply a diversion and smokescreen, as they were given barely enough money to pay our electricity, utilities, and insurance bills. We've released all our bank statements. We have nothing to hide, and we didn't use mill levy money to hire a lawyer, attorney. The LCCA stewardship of the mill levy money has been horrendous abuse of taxpayers' elderly service money, and our organization will no longer be party to this failure and betrayal of the public trust. And we request that the Lincoln County Commission help the Sylvan Senior Center pay its utilities and insurance bill for 2018, something the LCC still has not yet done, and this is not the first year we have had to rely on private donation funds to keep our lights on, an abuse we shouldn't have to suffer from. We request that the Commission motion and vote to make this happen today, and to end the unnecessary acrimony and dysfunction of the LCCA's role in keeping their senior center open in this county. If you do not have mill levy money to allocate to us, please require the LCCA to do this before giving them another dollar in new mill levy funds. It is our hope that when it's finally possible for the Sylvan Senior Center to receive its fair share from this elderly service, money without the red tape and harassment of the nonprofit organizations in Barnett, Beverly, and other communities throughout the county will seek similar funding, and the promise of the mill levy tax will finally be fulfilled. Now I'll turn it over to Mike.
I have a few questions.
Sure. I've heard it before.
You refer to the red tape. I guess I want to specifically know what requirements are being made to you. I think last week you also talked about changes within the year of what you're required to do. When we met some time ago, I believe we agreed that one of the things that was a controversy was whether there were sign-up sheets being turned in. Now, I assume that is a regulation that is still going on, and
I signed it up this morning.
Okay.
Every time we walk through the door and are doing
I understand
anything,
that.
we sign.
Are they being turned in to?
We turn them in once a month.
Okay, all right. Now, what
And
other?
if they aren't, they can come to the senior center. We have the copies in a file.
I have a
from
question.
Years back.
Just relating to that, the sign-up sheets. What is the requirement for these sign-up sheets? What is the Council on Aging's requirement to the senior centers? Is there a minimum, for example?
Not that we know of.
Well, I understand that goes to the Twin Hills Council on Aging, is where it's supposed to go to.
But I'm saying, are you required to have a sign-up sheet that identifies X amount of people attended, Y amount of functions?
The sign-up sheet is they come in, they sign their name, they sign the activity, and they check off if they're over 60 or under 60. That's what's on the sheet.
And a date.
And I didn't bring those with us.
That's fine, that's fine. I just wondered, that was one of the issues we had prior to this, that those weren't being turned in, and I just wanted to make sure that now, tell me what other red tape things that they are asking from you.
They say we're supposed to change our bylaws to meet their bylaws.
They say.
Yes. That's why we're non-compliant, because we haven't changed our bylaws to meet their.
What is wrong with your bylaws
That's
that they
what we'd
think?
like to know.
They just don't match.
They
it.
They don't specifically give you what needs to be changed.
They want us to change our membership from how many our membership is over 65.
The percentage factor.
Factor.
Originally it was 51%, which is the original bylaws from the North Central Flint Hills Council on
Right.
Aging. They want to change it to 70%.
Who does?
The LCCA wants us to change it.
What does the Flint Hills want?
They're still at 51% as far as we know. And here's the why 51.
What is the percentage of your senior center's attendance over 60?
Well, the first
60 or
meeting,
65?
the first meeting I went to, I took the sheets and I did a calculation on it. 82% of those were checked in above 60, so there was no problem.
No,
Is the Council on Aging aware that you did that percentage?
Yeah, I gave
They
it to them.
get the books. They
The
get
other thing is, I'll
sheets
tell you
and the
that I see the reason for 51%. If you have a generation of a couple who's turning 60 and one's younger, what if you have that generation where there's that 51% makes a factor whether they can be members or not? Because once our bylaws read, if you're a member, you have voting rights. It doesn't say anything about age, as long as 51% of your membership is 60 or older.
okay, so the bylaws is one item. What's some more?
Well, we turn in financials every month,
Yeah.
and there's always issues with, I've been asking for our funding.
Well, be specific. What financials are you turning in?
Our monthly finances, and then also I do have here today 3 years of finances for you, each one of you. And I have other documentation. Would you like me to share that this time?
Yeah,
Yes.
you give me the financials.
I did not copy the sign-in sheets. Here is our accounting, and we did a spreadsheet. We don't have much money to work with, so we did our own spreadsheet. And this is for, as you see, 16, 17, incomes on the front page, expenses on the next 2 pages. That's 16, 17. This one here is 15, 16, that I'm gonna pass out next, right there.
And your physical year starts October 1st.
October.
Yes, October 1st, and you'll notice, I think it's the first one. One of them starts January, because I did a calendar, and I went back, you'll find the other months at the bottom, because I didn't want to reset it all. And we are looking at different accounting. I did call QuickBooks, talk to them about nonprofits, but that's $600 a year. We can't afford it. So I did find another.
I can maybe help you with that. There's an organization online called TechSoup that not-for-profits can qualify for. It's not free, but it's like maybe a $50 administrative fee.
Yeah, I did find another spreadsheet. It was either $59 or $99. Depends how extensive we wanted it to be. And it looked like it would work for us. It's not only a spreadsheet, but also does charts, diagrams, and all that. And we haven't made the decision on meetings tomorrow. All right, you have the 3-year financials. This sheet here shows what we moved from private account to mill levy to pay our bills over those 3 years as loans, in order to keep our doors open and get these all apart. And then, let's see, oh, I do have,
When this says you made a deposit to the mill levy account, that means you actually took fundraising money and put it in the public fund.
that's a private account of our own fundraising events that goes into the we loan to the mill levy to pay our bills.
But am I hearing correctly that the Council on Aging has been accusing you of doing the opposite?
Just
which
the
is-
opposite,
Just
correct?
the opposite.
And that's, I'm gonna give you this. This is the original letters from the city of Sylvan and two pastors in the church of the beginning of the forming the senior center and asking for mill levy money.
These two say, I'm sorry, I'm back on this accounting
Okay.
deal before you move on. These two say, the two things I'm seeing are error of deposits.
Yes.
Those are both taking private money that you've fundraised for and putting it into the public.
Error of deposit was actually deposit should have went to the mill levy, and it was actually put into the private, so then it was reversed back.
What deposit, this $278?
The $278.53.
Where did it come from, is my question.
One of the things is our treasurer, we've had 4 treasurers in 3 years. 1 year was one time was 2 years, and now they're deceased. We can't answer that. I know who this is. I asked her to look it up. She didn't get back to me, but my problem was on the deposit slips, there wasn't a memo on some of those that were. Like the deceased treasurer had deposits that said 83-249, and I looked back and I found that was actually mill levy money on that 1 year, but, and it went into the right account, so you won't see it here, but it is on our statements I gave you, all that. But that was an error of mistake. And also, there was that $7. There was an error. It went to the wrong account. So you'll see those 2 entries where mill levy was moved to private and then reversed. You don't, oh, I do have, yes, I'm going to give you this too. This is a copy of the Memorandum of Understanding. And on the back page, it shows from 2006, I think, the funding that Sylvan had received over the years. This was done by Ann Zimmerman in 2016. And if you don't have any questions, I got one more brief.
Go ahead,
Okay.
then I'll start in again.
You have the choice to fund this or not. Since 1989, when the Sylvan Senior Center was formed, we have been providing a place for the seniors to gather. When first formed, there was no mill levy money to fund our center. The community saw the need to offer seniors a place to go to share activities, their time, experiences, and assistance to other seniors. Through community involvement, the center survived. For the community saw the need to provide a place for them. Then, a question proposed to taxpayers on a ballot to assist the seniors in Lincoln County with financial assistance as a mill levy for elderly programs for their entire county was passed. The taxpayers decided to pay precious tax dollars out of their pockets for this elderly program. They understood the need. Today, the need is still here. As a Sylvan Senior Center, at the Sylvan Senior Center, the second largest community in the county, the city does not have the advantages of the city of Lincoln. Most amenities the seniors need require them to drive to other communities for those services. The Sylvan Senior Center provides a way of life where they can come together to discuss the issues of the day as seniors and discuss topics that help them in decisions as seniors on limited incomes. Our senior center is made up of volunteers who are also seniors, no paid or staff employees, who are willing to help other seniors in need as assisted labor, assisted emotional support in time of need, or just to lend a listening ear to another senior who needs to sound out issues that are affecting them at the time. The need still exists since its beginning, if not more so. Taxpayers of this county continue to pay the taxes required by the mill levy to assist those citizens of the county. They are doing their share. Are the commissioners doing yours? You have the choice to fund this or not. When the LCCA has balances of $75,000 to as much as $122,000 per month in bank accounts and not funding senior centers as the mill levy requires, are you willing to make a positive difference in this county as commissioners to keep the lights and heat on in the Sylvan Senior Center? Or will the senior center become cold and dark while tax dollars are kept and hidden in bank accounts? As commissioners, it's your choice. What do you choose? Lights and heat or cold and dark?
I have a few comments, if you're done.
Fine, yeah, that's all I have.
One comment I want to make is that I think senior centers, wherever they are important. However, I don't think that it's up to the taxpayers to completely fund a senior center. I think that, you know, they get donations, they do, you guys do what, concession stands and different things to raise money. And I just don't agree that it's 100% up to the taxpayers. I think you have to do some of your own fundraising. And I know they do here in Lincoln, you know. In fact, you know, I lobbied for you guys to get a new floor. And the LCCA paid for it.
Yes.
In about the same period of time, Lincoln did a new floor and stuff, and they used their own money that was donated. And I realized that Lincoln has a lot more people coming in there to donate. You know, I understand that, but you know, in your letter here, you say that the Sylvan Senior Center received only a few $1,000s last year. Well, I think a few $1,000s is $13,750.
$2,629 in no living money.
What'd you-
13,000, when you include the floor, the tables, lights, and all the money that the LCCA expended in 2017, it was $13,750.
But I was here at the meeting in April when you were brought a budget for 2019.
I have it right here. Well, I have 2018 actually.
Yeah, 2018. Okay.
I have it right here.
Okay, well, my comment.
The one that was brought to me. I don't know what was approved by LCCA.
Right.
That's a question I have for them. I don't know, but I have a
Why would
budget
they?
here for.
Why would the LCC bring us a budget that they hadn't approved? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, they were proposed budgets. Everybody brings proposed budgets. And even our department had to bring in proposed budgets.
Right, but we're questioning what the discrepancy is between what we deemed as necessary to allocate versus what was actually distributed.
Yeah, I think it was $8,500, something like that.
74,
74.
33, I think it is on that.
Actually, it was proposed at $8,263 is what it is here.
And the other thing I want to say is, when I talk about, you know, funding part of the operation yourself, I think when you turned in your December financials, between your three accounts, you had $16,000.
Nope.
I believe so. I saw the paper that you turned in at the meeting.
Produce it to us.
Yeah,
Well, I don't have it with me, but
We do
we
not.
never had that much.
you have two checking accounts and a savings account.
Well, saving account is minimal. But I can tell you that,
I was thinking the savings account had
Are you
about
talking about just
$10,000.
December a few months ago? December 2017?
Yes,
in
I
fact,
think
that-
it was December. Bob, you were probably there.
I saw the same amount of money, it was a little over $13,000 for this last year. But Shirley said they only gave $2,000. I made the motion myself for $2,700 that Mike got a check for. So where that $700 go, I don't know.
it was $2,500 and some dollars.
$2,700.
Because we received,
She said you only got
actually
$2,000.
$2,629 at the March meeting, I think it was. In February, we received like $100 and some for utility.
Okay,
But can I make one point first?
Sure.
At the morning when the meeting was, when the budget was brought to this meeting, one thing Commissioner Wallace stated was, there are budgeted amounts and there are non-budgeted. Non-budgeted are expenses beyond utilities and normal things like that. So when I say we received $2,629, that was budgeted income we received. Yes, we did get the floor, but we didn't pay for it, so it doesn't show on our finances. 'cause
No,
we
no,
didn't
no,
pay direct.
I didn't say, Mike, that you paid for it, I said LCCA
Right.
expanded that amount of money.
I
I didn't say
understand.
they gave it to you, I just said they expanded that amount of money,
That-
$13,500
What he's
for
saying is
the-
if they budgeted to give him $7,000 or $8,000, they only gave 2,600, 700, whatever it may be. But you're saying that out of that 8,000, you're saying you're attributing the money for those renovations to be going toward their budget.
Well, that's what they were asking for, has maintenance funds in it.
But I'm saying their
No.
budget, but your budget
Yes,
that you
it
turned
does.
in when you,
Can I make a comment about the budget? That budget we worked on, and then Liz Winkler brought it over and presented it to you. But it was never brought back to the Sylvan Senior Center for them to approve. She went through and made a whole lot of changes to it. And we never got the rights to approve that budget. And then she brought it in here without approval and presented it to you. And so what you're seeing is what this LCCA brought in, not us.
but my question is, what Terry's trying to say is you received more than the 2,600 because you got it in the form of material goods.
Right.
You got a floor.
And we were
And
under the
lights.
understanding that was outside of our budget. That was not what we,
Do you understand what she's saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
because
So what happened to the rest of the budgeted money
I
that was
think
approved?
part of that budgeted money was for maintenance on the building. It was not all for utilities and stuff.
then see, it was
You
all.
gave us a paper, and I can't find it here right now,
Well, I'm
last
looking-
week when you were here.
Aljo, you said you have the
I
budget.
never
What does
gave
it
you
say?
any,
You
money.
gave us a paper that said
He has
it
the
had,
budget.
it had, what you were asking us for was like $7,000. And it was broke down as to utilities, and then there were maintenance
Right.
issues and stuff like that.
That was beyond
Yeah,
the 4,000.
Thousand.
Correct.
Yes.
So part of that money in that budget was for maintenance and stuff like
He
that.
has the budget, right there.
I have proposed budgets that were brought to the commissions, what I have.
And how is
Projected.
how is it distributed? What is the breakdown?
The 18 budget is projected to be $8,263.
And we have not
And does it
received
say-
a dime. Nothing in 2018.
Well, they didn't get it until January 30th.
And the check's not cashed yet.
And they did, and February would have been the meeting when they discussed putting that out. They didn't have a quorum after Mike and Nancy left. They couldn't do anything.
But when they have $75,000 in their account, they don't have to wait on mill levy to disperse it.
If it's budgeted funds, can you disperse it before you get it?
But why are they running a bank account, a savings account in the LCCA? I don't think taxpayers would approve of the fact of taxing them and keeping money in bank accounts. And then they had to be forced to a core request to open the books. And even at that case, when it came to a vote, it barely passed when the majority, when the lawyers said you have to do it.
Well, this letter states is that you wanted $4,000
Right.
for utility bills and insurance.
Yeah, that
And
would
then you
cover
were-
us for 1 year.
Okay.
Then you were asking for another $3,400 for more elderly programs, and it got roof repairs, but that's scratched out.
Yeah.
It says building maintenance and supplies, which, building maintenance and supplies, I think on that list, that comes out of that $13,500. There was the floor, there was some lighting. Did you replace a bunch of lighting or something?
Yeah, and it's on here. That was $591.45.
And there was a toilet.
That was
and-
paid on sick, but that's in the improvement mill levy.
Was there something on the awning or something?
There,
too?
well, that's never been done. We never
Never
received the
been.
funding on it.
I'm gonna clarify here because we have the 2018 senior center proposed budget from the senior center. I'm assuming because it has your heading.
Hang on one second, that's what they gave us last week.
That's last
So,
week.
that's not what,
Oh, this wasn't part of the proposed budget that we approved.
No, this is 18.
But regardless, okay, then I'm gonna read it because these are based on actual expenses from the prior year. So for city services of water and sewer, $500. For Kansas Gas Service, the gas bill, $800. For Western Electric, electricity, $700. Wilson Communications, $900 for the year. And Wagner Insurance, building and liability insurance, $1,100 for the year. So that totals $4,000 as your, we'll call that operating expenses
Right.
to
That's
cover
what
all.
it's intended to
That's
be.
what they were asking for.
Okay, but my question to you, Terry, is I understand what you're saying. You're saying they got paid more than the $4,000 because they received material goods last year. But where was the $4,000 cash deposited to their account to pay these
Because
last year?
that is 2018.
It says based on actual expenses from 2017, so regardless of what this budget, I'm saying this is what they spent approximately within some dollars and change in 2017.
I didn't
But they
bring
received the cash of 2,700 or 2,500 or whatever the discrepancy is there. But 25 or 27 does not equal 4,000. So what I believe I'm hearing is that you weren't funded out of the mill levy for your overhead expenses. If we were to sit here and argue the additional money that was spent on the floor and the improvements to the building, etc., whether it goes to elderly services or not, the $4,000 was never distributed, is what I'm understanding.
But the point I'm trying to make is, the LCCA paid for their floor, which
If
I
we were
suggested.
under this understanding that did not
But
come
Terry,
out
they
of our
didn't do that in
budget.
addition to this. These are their overhead expenses.
Okay,
Whatever they
can
do
I
above and
finish?
beyond that.
Will you let me finish?
You haven't acknowledged that though.
Which is an, expense that when Lincoln did theirs, they paid for their own. And-
Does Lincoln pay for their own overhead expenses?
No, I'm sure they don't. But what I'm trying to say is that you're getting, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You got $13,750 from the LCCA in one form or another last year.
I have to see it, I haven't seen it.
And if, heaven forbid that you have to pay for something yourself.
We have.
We have $6,000.
I know, that's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, I have records
I don't
here.
understand why you don't feel like that you have to pay some of your own expenses.
I
We
have
are.
I have
We're
10
paying $6,000 in 3 years.
I have 10 years here of, this was the memorandum of understanding that the Council on Aging hired Ann Zimmerman, and she put together a
Right.
package as far as everything, and I was present for this because this was several years ago, and from 2006 to 2016, this is the amount of money that the Council on Aging distributed to the Sylvan Senior Center. In 2006, $5,000. 2007, $6,000. 2008, $6,000. 2009, $6,000. 2010 and 2011, $0. 2012, $6,000. 2013, $2,800 plus $500 for a railing. 2014, $3,500 plus $2,681.18 for a renovation. It doesn't say what. 2015, $3,500, and then at the time that this was reported in 2016, there were $0 allocated. So I guess what I'm seeing is they were receiving a steady amount, and then it dropped to 0, and then it went back up to the previous amount, and then it's been in half of that amount ever since. In these last years, from 2013 to the present, it's been half of what was given 10 years ago, consistently. And what I'm hearing you say in your letter is that that's due to all of these different stipulations. And I might answer your question, Aljo, because you asked what red tape. One of the things when I was present was that you had to have a certain amount of activities and a certain amount of participants and this, that, and the other thing. And I think once that was all calculated, Sylvan Senior Center actually had more independent activities and members actively doing things than the Lincoln Senior Center. And you're talking about funding yourselves, but a higher percentage of money is actually going to the senior center who doesn't do as many independent activities.
Well, I don't know what you call the independent activities, but you can go in there any morning and they're playing cards or doing different things in
If
there,
you're
so-
going to count, which I know the Council on Aging has counted meals, that's not an independent activity because that has money coming to it from Flint Hills Area Agency on Aging. That's not a county funded activity. So anything that
But
happens.
there's also 50 or more people a day coming in there.
For the meal.
For the meal.
For the
For
meal.
the meal. But
Right,
they
and
also-
that's
but they al-
funded.
They also do other things.
But
You
do
can
you
go in
under-
down there right now and I bet you there's a group of them playing cards and they've got some kind of a game they play on the TV. I was standing there one day watching a guy do something, couldn't figure out what he was doing, but he was playing some kind of a game
I'll
on the
bet
TV.
you right now they're having a meeting.
But I'm
A
asking,
meeting?
I'm-
Well, I don't know, they could be
I
having a
do.
meeting.
I'm asking, do you understand that that meal program is
Yes, I
funded
understand that
outside
the
of the
meal program
county?
is funded by Flint Hills.
Okay,
The
so if
percentage
another,
is coming from Lincoln
Yeah.
County Council on Aging, because they're paying their cook, part of what,
so some of the county money is subsidizing
Yes.
that meal program?
yes.
Like 13,500.
Bob?
You know, all we ask, we have no problem giving them their money. All we ask them to do is be in compliance with the rules and regulations of the LCCA. And they can't do that. Every time we ask them to do that, they come up with some form of excuse or send a letter that they're not gonna be in compliance. We
They've
paid-
never
we
sent
paid
us
for the-
a
We paid
letter.
for the building inspection, all of it. It was over $600, we paid for that. You know, and I made the motion to have that paid. But now, they want more and more money all the time. We don't mind giving them their share of money. But the whole point is, they need to be in compliance with the LCCA rules or Sylvan Senior, and they're not in compliance. They haven't been.
What compliance? I'm just curious.
All we asked are to have their records sent in a week before we have our meeting. It's never sent in. Never sent in. That's true, Mike, you know it is.
I was, but
I
the
would
motion
like-
changed.
I
There
would
was a
like to address
motion that
that.
said they were brought to the meeting.
I would like to
And
address that. Several years ago, I was corresponding via email with Dawn and some other people in the senior center and the county coordinator who you hire. And records were continually neglected. They were not reported and given to the council, which you weren't on, but they were collected. And there is a series of emails I'd be glad to share with you. The county counselor was involved, Dawn here was involved. Dawn herself, as part of the commission's secretarial work, has requested from your organization a breakdown, an itemized receipt of what the expenses are for your organization, and has never received it. So I think you're portraying and projecting onto the other organizations some of the flaws that have been inherent in this particular organization as well, which is why last week I made the motion that the commission just take the responsibility and give out those tax dollars according to each organization's budget. There's no need to have a parent organization and children organizations. You know, in fact, I don't think you were there either, but I attended one of the meetings where the Council on Aging hired an attorney out of Ellsworth. His name was Hoffman. Am I right in that, Hoffman? And his actual, I mean, there are several attorneys' opinions, and I recommend that you read them all, but Hoffman actually said that the Council on Aging has no authority over any other organization. They can't be requiring things of this organization. They either choose to give out money or they don't. They cannot correspond and have all of these different suggestions or requirements or compliance issues, as you're saying. That's not even part of the responsibility of the Council on Aging. That's a fabricated situation. The real issue is the money. And the commission is responsible for the money because we collect it from all of you.
That's right.
And so I'm not saying, I mean, I think that was all prior to you being on the board. I'm assuming you've been on the board maybe this year.
Just 1 year, yeah.
Okay.
Since February.
Okay, so I'm just telling you what I know from several years ago, 3 years ago. But the same issues continue to happen, and when you say that the senior center is not in compliance, I know that those compliance rules had changed several times when I was attending the meetings. Several times. It was, you know, do this and do that and have so many people attending. And then when the numbers came out, and Mike here actually gave the record that said, hey, we have 80-some%.
82% were 60 or older.
Because the accusation was, oh, well, you don't have the correct percentage of those over 60. Then he comes out and says, well, the percentage is now over 60. And you know, one of the things that they said several years ago was, well, we're going to distribute funds based on activities. And they were counting this lunch activity for Lincoln Senior Center as a number bolster. And I'm not advocating for defunding the Lincoln Senior Center. I'm just saying, when you count an activity that has external funding, that skews the numbers. Because all of the activities that were happening at the second senior center were not exteriorly funded. That's why they were doing fundraisers on their own. And I don't know what kind of fundraisers the Lincoln Senior Center does.
Well, they've done that for years ago.
Well, and I agree with Terry. I don't think that both senior centers need to be 100% funded by tax dollars.
You don't think it's asking too much for these people to pay $1,000 a year in their own expenses?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I agree with you that we don't need to be funding 100% of their budget. But the problem is that we've given 100% of their budget to the Council on Aging, and the Council on Aging has put it in a savings account instead of giving them 100% of their budget. That's the problem.
I have seen that.
They gave them $13,750 last year, which way exceeded what their budget would have been.
You know, I
And-
think the Sylvan Senior Center does a good job. I mean, I really do. But like I said, all we ask, and I'm not even on the board, all I'm asking is to be in compliant. And they haven't been. They have not been since I've been on commission. So I would move that you table this until you talk to the board and have these people.
Well,
come back.
there's not gonna be any decision made today, I can tell you that.
I'd like to ask
There's
one.
a stack of information here to go
Right,
through.
and I want you to all go through it and look it over. But my question to you as commissioners, if you want to use the word compliance, what are the compliance issues for the LCCA to the commission?
I think the real problem here is that everybody is saying what they think. Nothing's been written down. I need to see the compliance rules that LCCA is, they need to be in black and white so everybody can see them and they can read them and we know what's required, I don't know. I've never attended a meeting. I am just listening to you folks, but it appears to me that there is not a set bunch of, rules or things. I've not seen them. So I don't know whether they're in compliance or not.
There's an entire list right here, Aljo, of what has been recommended and what both parties agreed to. And Bob, I'd just like to address, right here, number 8, under the memorandum of understanding that both the Council on Aging signed and the Senior Center signed. It says, the council will consider whether and how much money to reimburse the Senior Center in Sylvan for the time when the council did not fund the center. In approximately 2010 and 11, in making this determination, the council will consider the following information. The center's 501c3 status lapsed for at least 1 year, but was later reinstated retroactively. Okay, and then if you jump down here, it says the Lincoln Senior Center also allowed its 501c3 to lapse over many years. But the Senior Center in Lincoln continued to receive their budgeting funding those years while Sylvan did not. So your compliance argument doesn't apply equally.
I think the same offer was made to the Sylvan Senior Center that LCCA would take care of their finances.
And that is not legal. We've already checked into that with the IRS, and that's not legal. In fact, that's why the Lincoln Senior Center took their own bookkeeping back just here a year or two ago, because the IRS
Because they got their 501c3
right, because the IRS said you may not umbrella one.
But when we lost our 501c3, we were told that we could not be financed by the LCCA. Our funding was cut off because we didn't have 501c3. But at the very same time, the Lincoln Senior Center did not have. I went in there myself into the computer and found that the Lincoln Senior Center was not compliant with their 501c3. But the LCCA still gave them their money. And they were doing their own accounting. It had nothing to do with accounting. It was just they lost it, they hadn't noticed it, they hadn't found it, whatever. They still have not, not 1 year have not ever received. This year, $31,000, and part of that is to fund their cook. And I don't know how legal that is, because they couldn't find a cook to come in and apply for the job at the amount of money that the Manhattan office was giving them.
They got $31,000 this
That's
year?
what we were
$31,000.
told.
Okay, let's stay there a second. They got $31,000. You got $13,750.
No, we
Yes,
did
you
not.
did. Yes, you did. You
No.
can't deny it.
Yes, I can.
Those
Yeah.
were money that was expended for the Sylvan Senior Center.
Then, when you made that comment at this very meeting saying that the flooring that we purchased was to be outside of the budgeted money. It was not to be considered. That was, you can go back and look at your own, because that was the
Shirley,
statement
I'm not
made
saying
here.
that anything different
But now
now.
you're counting it.
But
At that
all
time,
I'm
we would have
saying,
never went and got that form.
those funds were expended by
We
the
would've never
LCCA
got that
for the
cut
Sylvan Senior
without
Center.
you guys saying
that's
that was
simple.
outside of our budget.
How much,
Nancy?
Lincoln got more than 31,000 because we also paid for refrigerator and some stuff for the kitchen.
Okay.
In addition
They
to
got
their,
more than 31,000.
in addition to their budget,
Yes.
you're saying
Yes.
they got their budget money and then they got
Plus.
additional money for
Yes.
extra
Yes.
things they
Yes.
requested.
Right.
But going back to that figure, Sylvan got almost half as much. And Lincoln has 50 people a day in there, and how many people does Sylvan
How
have a
many
day?
of
But
those
see-
people would be going in there if they didn't have meals?
Regardless, they're going
Yes,
in there.
it is.
It
They
is a
wouldn't
difference.
be going in there if they weren't going in for meals. I guarantee it.
They're
I
still
worked
going
there.
in there,
I know
Shirley.
it.
They're still going in
I
there.
know that they're going in there, but they wouldn't be counted because they're going for meals
That
to eat.
wouldn't even be a discussion if the council hadn't said that one of the compliance issues is your number of
Right,
attendance, okay?
right.
That was just one of those things that I think you referred to as red tape. It was,
Right.
you have to have X amount of, but what I read, I think you only have to have one activity per week with 5 people to be
Something like
funded.
that.
So really, you know,
But
that
changes on a
participation.
regular basis, because we'll meet that need, and then the next time they'll come out and say, well, you have 2. You'll have to have 2, you know, they never give us a straightforward one-time thing to meet, they change it to meet their needs.
Well, we need to move on.
Yeah, I think we've used our time, and I appreciate your time. We'll get more documentation. I have to research the 13,000 because I've never seen it.
Yep.
And we'll just schedule another next week.
That'd be fun.
But thank you for your time.
Can I make
We're
one
we're
comment?
not, I'm not trying to
No, I
persuade
understand.
you people or whatever, but, you know,
No
I
matter
support
what you
your
do,
senior center.
we'll still be a senior center. And we work very hard for 80 and 85-year-old people to do a concession stand. It's not an easy job,
No, I
but that's
agree.
the only money that we have to rely on, because we can't rely on the
Yeah,
LCCA.
it's not been dependable. But we'll look
And
at
I
your
don't,
information.
I don't know what the formula is as far as what ought to be private money and what ought to be public money. But I think there needs to be some private money that
Yes.
goes into running,
And
helping
right now,
operate the
that's
senior
what we're doing.
I
Because-
think there's a higher
we have-
percentage of your budget that's generated through fundraising than the
Yeah.
other senior center,
Yeah.
from what I've read.
Well, it has to be,
Yeah,
because that's the only way we can stay open.
stay open.
So,
And the agreement with the LCCA was they were supposed to pay our building insurance, and we had an overdraft from that check and we've had another one since then that we have to transfer money out of our private account because there isn't enough, we have no mill levy.
I am very concerned about the overdrafts being,
I know.
that should not happen. If your treasurer's paying attention, they should
Well,
know how much
That's-
money is in that account, and if it's not there, they need to be transferring money before the check goes.
That was
Now,
in between treasurers because the
okay,
one
okay.
passed away, one took it over, the other
But
got
I'm
left.
just saying,
and
that,
it's
that,
not.
that was a very big red flag to me
Right.
last
Oh,
week.
yes,
I
we
do, you
understand
know,
that.
we've had 3 treasurers just this year alone, let alone Rosella Trapp, who passed away in 14.
Did
She did
excellent
15,
job.
16. But that shouldn't happen. There needs to be a larger balance carried in in the mill levy account. And that's one thing we
But
gotta
we were
watch.
hoping that would come from the LCCA.
But anyway, I don't wanna take any more of your time. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Read over our information at your free time. We will try to bring more information next week,
Okay.
especially the documentation that you state shows received 13,000. Thank you.
Another comment to you, last week, you guys accused us of paying a lawyer. We did not.
I didn't
pay.
accuse you, I didn't accuse
That
you,
was
I've
brought
never,
up.
I've
That
never
was
accused
brought
you of
up
playing
that
a
we
lawyer.
have
Don't put words in
The
my mouth. I'm
lawyer
sorry,
come
Shirley.
out of
I'm
our
sorry, Shirley.
private account.
Do
It
not
did
say
not
that
come-
I said that. I did
I said
not.
that. I
But
said
it
that.
did
You
not
did.
come out of our mill levy account. It was
I don't
out
think I
of
said
our
it came
private
out of your
account.
mill levy account. I said that.
That's what we've been accused of.
I think that it,
And you'll see in those papers, it's never come out of
I
any
guess
of
I
our
would-
mill levy account.
I would just say that we need to put the past behind us, and we need to look towards the future. And I guess I'm looking at this budget, and my position right now is that the Lincoln County on Council of Aging has said that they will pay this amount of money to the senior center in Sylvan. I think it is their obligation to get it done. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to write you a blank check without showing that you are providing services for senior centers. That's what the mill levy said, provide services for senior
Right.
centers. So if you can prove or you can show to them that you're providing services for the senior center, I don't know that they can withhold or should be withholding any money. Now, you mentioned you mentioned the fact that there is a balance or extra money out there. Every organization needs to have a cushion.
Why can't we?
And, well, I'm just saying, you need to prepare yourself for a cushion. And we have seen ourselves in this county get to a position where we didn't have that cushion. And I'll tell you, it was the worst decision, hardest decision I ever made when I had to lay a significant mill levy on this county. It was not easy, but I had no choice because we had run out of reserves. So I don't want you to think you ought to knock the reserves that the Council on Aging is holding. However, I think there is a limit to how much should be held back. But I do think there needs to be some back there. Your building may burn, you know. We may have a major disaster. So you need something to fall back on, okay?
So how do we get it? We can't get enough to make
Okay.
our monthly expenses.
Shirley, you're gonna have a budget, right?
I do have
And you
one
need to work
question.
within it, okay?
Aljo.
We do.
Okay,
And-
that's,
but-
Aljo, I have a question for you. You just said that you wanted them to provide substantiated, facts that they are providing senior services. Weren't you and I at the same senior center meeting where you personally came to substantiate the fact that the Sylvan Senior Center was indeed providing services for the elderly? Weren't you?
did I say they weren't? I just said that we need to make sure that we're providing services for the elderly. That's what the mill levy says to do, and we need to be doing it and spending the money
But you did personally take it
that way.
upon yourself to check in on that because I was there with you, correct?
One day,
I was invited and I went. And if I'm invited again, if I can make it,
all
I
invited,
will try to go, but don't guarantee it.
Commissioner Wallace.
Yes,
If we receive the mill levy money and it's not all used properly, the tax money for expenses, we have no problem with returning the balance.
I don't want you to return the balance. I want you to have that cushion. And I want you to look at when you propose the next budget, maybe you don't have to ask for as much money because you have that cushion back
Exactly,
there.
right.
You know,
not a
that's
problem.
how we operate that.
How do you provide a cushion when they request $4,000 for operating expenses and get $2,500 and then
I
get
am not going to
material-
deal in the past. I'm going to deal in the future.
Okay, let's end it here.
Okay,
I think on my part.
yeah, I think we need to move on.
Yeah, you
We're
guys,
getting behind
we
here.
appreciate the time you gave us. Thank
Okay.
you.
we'll be back next week.
Okay.
Did you have something?
As of 9, I don't want to kick a dead horse, and I hope we can move on from this day forward. But they have $10,269 in a private account at Bennington State Bank as of 9/30/2017. They don't talk about that. That's a private, there's no reason to write a bad check.
Yeah.
Joe, that's what I'm thinking.
Michael?
Go. You can have these chairs too, Mike.
Before we start, I guess, the North Central Regional Highway deal, we got a letter from them. I don't know who's gonna go, or if anyone's gonna go, but we did get the correspondence.
Okay.
They want to know by the 23rd of March whether we're going. Good morning.
Morning, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Good to be here.
First thing this morning is I have a new contract for our signing project. The last one, the state has scrapped all projects that had contracts that had not started work, correct?
Yes.
And Governor Collier wanted some new verbiage added to it that covers sexual harassment. So they null and voided our last contract and would like us to provide that to them as soon as we can.
And this is the signing for,
The eastern part of the county on the high-risk rural roads program.
there's 3 copies here.
Approved and signed.
Should be 4, I believe.
Or, well, probably is. Okay, Don, do we need would we have to have a new motion for this?
Yeah, so it's,
Same deal except just some verbiage change. as
Yes.
far as-
I think they added a special attachment with a policy on sexual harassment.
I'd move we authorize the chairman to sign for the signage of eastern part of Lincoln County.
I have a motion on the floor to re-sign the signed contract, State of Kansas. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I don't know why we have so many signature pages. There's a ton of them.
Yeah, I don't even see that one.
Amazing.
That's the sign to buy a house.
We signed more than we're getting for signs.
I think we're all signed.
Next, I have some numbers for you guys to look at. Through Rhonda and myself, we kind of each did a little bit of work on the taxation of gravel pits, and this would be next year's estimation of cost. She provided me the total acres of the property and then the original tax of the ground, the ag acres, and then what the commercial tax would be. Then I broke it down a little bit further to show what the actual true increase would be, because they would have been paying X amount of taxes of what it was originally taxed at before, and put down what the true total increase estimated would be. To give you guys a comparison on that and what other discussions may come from that on doing something different there.
The total increase is the,
Far right column.
right, but
Yes.
that is the amount above what they'd originally paid, or that is the total amount with the increase?
That would be the total increased amount after it's been added as commercial property.
So that's the total due. It's not just the difference.
No, that would be the difference.
Be the additional tax because it's commercial land.
That would just show the true increase of commercial tax. It doesn't have the original property tax
Okay.
included in with
Okay.
that.
That's what I wondered.
So we're talking a total of $1,331.77 for all the gravel pits, is that the
For all of them, correct. Estimated, yes.
estimated, based on last year's mill levy too, probably.
And there'll be two pits on here that would be the last year, because they will be closed, hopefully by the end of this year.
And how many inactive ones are there? There's one presently inactive. I mean, we don't really have anything going on in Murray's, do we?
No, not at present.
No. And is there any
We
others?
may have some later on before the year's out, but
Is there any others that I was looking to?
Blocks, we have pretty well mined up everything that's there.
Okay.
We just got some cleanup and some of those larger rocks, decide what we're gonna do with those. Haul them off for burying. Line pit, I believe we got all the gravel hauled out of there, and we're just cleaning up some rock piles there now, so it should be getting close to being done also.
Thanks, Mike. That's kind of like good information for us to have.
Yes.
I have three more additional gravel agreements for you.
Well,
One
my
will-
question is, excuse
Sorry.
me, before you go on, could we not use this estimated number as their contracted initial payment instead of the $100?
Possibly.
I mean, in some instances, it's maybe double that, but not much more, so.
Actually, the $100 gives us permission to have that pit. I think this money is additional tax money that's being asked for them to pay because the went from ag to commercial. My feeling is that if those pits are active, we certainly are covering this increase by a long ways. It's the inactive ones that I might have a little trouble. If we never haul anything out of the Murray pit for this year, he actually is paying $87.08 is the way I understand extra tax
Above and
because
beyond.
because we have that
Because the contractor's act is there.
because it's contracts there. On the other hand, I don't know, we hauled out, I don't know which one we've been
I
hauling
understand
out.
what you're
Line.
saying. We're more than
We-
compensating.
Yeah, we're more than compensating. So the problem becomes is what are we doing with those that we do not use this year? You know, and they're getting taxed at a commercial property when they have really no commercial
No
income.
revenue.
Right, because last year there were 2, 4, 6.
So,
Do we have a comment back there,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Maybe you already know this, but I talked to the state appraiser, and so if you pay them, if the commissioners pay them $100, it's considered a commercial property. Did you know that? Okay.
yes,
So
yes.
you can't really say, even if they're inactive, if you're not pulling anything out, they're still gonna get charged a commercial.
And that's why I think we may owe some taxes for just that privilege.
I just wanted to make that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
could we just have
I,
Could we have
and
the,
did you call the state or did you check up here?
I called the state.
Okay, and my understanding is that anything that has a lease on it is commercial, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Regardless if it's county or.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so are we?
I guess my question is, did you ask them how they
Hunting operations?
figure out what the private ones are? How do they keep track of the private ones?
I just
Property,
asked
yeah.
Rhonda,
That's a lease.
that's up to them when they go around and do.
To look,
I think it's a
see.
lease on resources, I don't think
It's
it's
a
a.
lease on
Okay.
land.
Thank you,
Use.
Son.
Then could we just have an addendum on the lease that says if nothing has been hauled, then?
At the end of the year, do a payment or something.
I would think at the end of the year, we will have figures of who we've paid out and who we haven't, and those that we haven't paid out, we probably need to compensate them.
End of the year budget
Yeah,
check and.
yeah.
I think that's.
Just like you
I think that's a good
buying
idea.
gravel,
Mm.
I guess is.
I wouldn't, I
Yeah.
don't recommend a prepay. I think
No,
it'd be
no,
a
I
lot
know.
better to take care of
Yeah.
it at the end of the year.
Sondra, you got something else?
While we're on gravel pits, can we just cover my gravel pit, which I talked to Mike and we had discussed before signing contracts that he was gonna have all our gravel out before January of 2019, which he is, he's got it all out, there's just rock there. That's why I signed it 2018, because that gives you 6 months after March to get all the gravel out, which he's already got out. I just want it discontinued. I want the contract null before January 19th, so I don't have to pay.
That's probably not a problem, is it?
But the contract you guys signed is not valid because you can't use whiteout on a contract. So if we could just redo a new contract.
What happens when we, like blocks, we have, I don't know how long there is, and we quit? We
We
basically
can come to an agreement and terminate.
terminate the,
Yeah.
terminate the contract.
So we'll terminate it? like-
Yes.
Okay.
I assume you would want us to reclaim it before we, as much as we can, before you terminate the contract.
Well, I just want it, I mean, he's already got all the gravel out, so
Yeah.
I want it all taken out,
Yeah.
put back how it should be,
Yeah.
and then terminate
Okay.
before January 1.
We
Okay,
questioned
yeah.
why it was marked 18, but I see what you're saying now. You're saying if you did it in 18, there were still 6
6
months
months.
of county availability to the property.
Right.
I got it. But if you signed 19, then there were 6 months into the year of 19.
Right, that could be active.
I don't think that's a problem.
That sounds good, I appreciate it, that's all I needed.
You, make sure that we get it done. I mean,
Right,
we'll try to remember, and you try to remember too. You know, sometimes things slide through the cracks in this county, as in all counties.
sounds good.
Okay, you got something there to do?
Yes, we have one with Addis Wacker, John and Letha Keeler, and Mary Jo Simmons.
I'd move that we approve Simmons, Wacker, and, I forgot.
Simmons, Mary Jo.
Simmons, Wacker,
Keeler.
And Keeler. Okay, I would move that we approve those 3 gravel agreements.
I have a motion on the floor to approve the 3 gravel agreements. Do I have a second? I will second.
Are they all the same dates?
I don't believe so.
No, I don't
No.
think so.
These 2 are
I
21,
think
this
that
is
needs to
20.
be noted in
We can do
the,
that.
you amend the motion. I mean,
Yeah, I'll amend it, so Keeler's is 01, 20, or 21. Is it Simmons? Simmons is
Yeah.
20, and the other one is
21.
21. Wacker's is 21. You can add that to my motion, Don, please. I didn't notice they were different dates.
I will second the amended motion. Is there any further discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are we about done? Do we have them all?
I think there's 2 left. One I had to send back, they failed to notarize, so. Moving on from here. Thank you. Next thing I have is Tanner and I was visiting this morning about the Highland Lake Dam again. There is some maintenance that does need to get taken care of there. And we can see really no way that we can get out from under ownership of that dam unless we close that section of the road.
which section? The west?
That crosses the dam. You know, if we were to close road, I would recommend closing from the west side of the dam going east to that next intersection is what I would recommend.
Can the dam be removed?
That would be an email to DWR.
From what I understand, the way they talked, it could.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
just-
water.
I just don't know what flooding could occur. That's the main question. You know, it was built under the impression that it was there for flood control, not recreation or livestock watering.
Are we gonna landlock anybody if we close?
No.
Roads aren't real good though.
Going east through there,
Yeah.
you know, it's just rough terrain, very rough terrain, not used a whole lot. But, you know, there's, at a minimum, a 20-foot piece of the drainage structure that needs repaired. There is some, if I believe it was varmint holes that needed addressed and some trees.
That needed to be reviewed.
What road is
Yes.
that?
Elk.
It's just
Elk.
east of the Sylvan Block.
You know, I think, I guess my initial
that here?
opinion
That's
is that
this?
maybe we need to put a feeler out and see if it can be closed, because it's gonna be nothing but a headache in years
This
to come.
one or that?
It's never gonna get better. It's one of those things, it's gonna get worse.
And maintenance on the valves and the piping and all
Yeah.
that stuff is gonna be a continued
And if we're responsible for the
expense.
valves and the pipe, yeah, that's,
Would that be a
Unbelievable
closure
expense.
from there to 70th? Does that sound right? Is that what?
From the west
Yeah.
side of the dam going east to
To
70th.
70th.
Correct.
On Elk?
Oh, no, correct.
So you're wanting to only vacate up to the dam?
From the west side of the dam, going across the dam, going east to
But
70th.
everything from the other intersection to the west would still be open?
Yes.
Or here? Anyone that wants to.
You know, there. And
This
then
is-
there's
this
that
is 70th.
additional cost of, what is it, every 3 years, approximately, what was it, $800 to do that inspection?
It was $1,500.
15.
At the high classification, so you gotta inspect every 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
They built it, they put a concrete section of pipe in all the way to the last 20 foot. They did corrugated metal. Well, the bottom's rusted out. Now all that water's undermining that pipe, and then the dam's starting to settle. So there's gonna be some maintenance.
there is
This one, okay.
And-
Oh,
tremendous
that's not as far as I.
cost to
60th
maintain
of
those
the Sylvan
dams.
Block.
Tremendous cost.
And also, if we did choose to do repairs, there would potentially be cost in permitting also
Yes.
to do those repairs. You know, it's sometimes,
Check.
it's not one of those things you just go out and excavate, install the pipe, compact, go home. So,
You have something, Sondra?
Was this dam, was it built before the Wilson Lake? I mean, is that why, was it trying to do flood control before the Wilson Lake? Did they have it then, or?
It was,
56.
yeah, it was built in the 50s, yes,
So
it was
that
built,
before the Wilson Lake?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So they could take it out?
Well,
Well,
this
it-
is not controlled
Yeah,
by.
it doesn't have anything to do with the lake, it's
Wilson Lake.
it's west of the lake.
Oh, okay.
East
Yeah.
of the lake.
So
Or
it
east of the
wouldn't-
lake,
It wouldn't
east of the
empty
lake,
into
yeah.
the Wilson Lake?
No, huh? You know where the road goes to the Wilson, the highway turns?
I know where it's at.
Yeah.
My thing is, my dad rents that pasture there. from
Mueller.
Brock Mueller.
Mhm.
So if it does hold water, the pasture is split in two. And if you close that, how is he gonna, I mean, if that lake fills up, how's he gonna get from one side to the other? Checking you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's gonna have to have a boat to get over, or go through somebody else's pasture to get to there.
Yeah,
You see
Well,
what
I think I think what we're saying is if we close that, it doesn't mean it's not traversable over top.
Oh, okay.
We don't remove the dam, it stays kind of as is.
There won't be no
County
road
maintenance.
block.
It won't be
It won't be
maintenance.
It'll be a public, it'll be
Private
private,
You'll own it, or whoever owns the pasture.
you own half of it.
So as long as the landowner would allow whoever to traverse it, then
And they don't put a
Gotcha.
fence across it or something like that.
I gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, so when we were doing an inspection, Michael asked, and now the county's responsible for it, if you close the road or submit something to them, then they'll remove it, and then it'll become the landowner's deal. So we'd have to, if we end up going through with this, we'd have to write up something, and then I can send it to Lower Gray with DWR. We should, but until then, the county's still gonna be inspecting it.
Yeah, this use has been going on for more than 20 years, way before I got in here. This has
Well,
been
it
an
seems
issue.
like one of those things that we, it's one of those additional small burdens that we, not that we want to put it on the landowner necessarily, but for us, We have so many bigger fish to
It
fry.
has,
in
it
other
has
words.
no value to us.
Right,
And
and it's an expense, even if it's small, it's
Yeah.
still an expense.
You know,
Do
the
we have to
draw,
hold a hearing?
the draw,
Yes,
the
yes, we have
drawdown
to be
tube
here.
has
Can we
been,
schedule that? I think we
it's
should.
opened up, it draws
We'll
down
have
all
to.
the water every time it fills up, so.
Right.
Is it in such a condition that we should worry that if the private landowners take, or to take care of it, that it's a danger? I mean, we should at least address that.
It wouldn't be
I mean,
any
if you're
more
not
than a,
hauling
it wouldn't be any,
semi-loads of cattle over top of it and you're just checking pasture and cattle, I mean.
So if it's left right now, pretty much that concrete pipes, whenever it rains and the water flows, is gonna keep undermining, and the backside of the dam is slowly gonna pretty much settle until I think it hits that concrete pipe. So,
but it would be no different than someone's pond in their middle of their pasture.
yeah,
It's basically what it would turn into without a road over it.
Is there any sort of minimal maintenance that we could do just as a one last preparatory effort on part of the county, just so that it is traversable, you know, until they decide as a
Good.
landowner what they would do?
could replace the metal pipe, put concrete in, some concrete pipes in.
But it
But
will
you're-
come an expense,
Yeah.
permitting
And we
and.
gotta look at the permits and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, we need to think on that one a little bit.
I think we should progress at least to have a hearing. I mean, if someone wants to voice their objection. What do you think the lifespan is on the pipe the way that it is now?
Well, the metal part has already failed. The concrete,
Depends on how much moisture you
yeah,
get.
without actually sending the camera down and looking at it, I don't know.
does it have a valve in it?
Yes, so the plans show a valve being located on the upstream side. There's pretty much a pit.
So it
Valve.
is
Is
still
there a valve
draining?
in it, though?
It still drains?
Yes. Yeah, it still drains.
It's got a drawdown tube, that's what's, keeps it dry. It's got a
Yeah.
drawdown tube on out.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
out in
pond.
the, yep.
Yep.
And it was.
And it's
pre-
open.
Yeah, yeah. In the previous inspection, it was kind of silted in, but it looked like someone went out there with a shovel and removed all the debris, but it was open when we looked at it.
So you guys gonna look at doing a hearing, or do we need to look at cost of what it's gonna cost us to do permitting and the expense of those permits and,
Well, it's gonna be an expense that never ends.
yes,
I think we should.
I guess I would, my feeling is we draw up the start of, you know, you're gonna have to get legal descriptions, you're gonna have to get the appraiser involved, and then I guess we can decide whether we wanna proceed on to the hearing or publish it.
Mhm.
I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true yet or not, that Vesper is going to quit selling anhydrous, or they are selling the 3 anhydrous tanks that are there on Purple Wave. I guess they were out and photographed last week, and would like to watch those and kind of keep you guys updated on that. Tanner and Bob were visiting about it just this morning, that those could potentially be some excellent structures for us on these 2 bridges that have watersheds above it. We could take those 3 tanks, cut the ends out, cut one in half, and then weld it up the other one and get 2 structures out of that.
And
And
when does it sell?
I looked this morning, it's not even listed
Okay.
yet. So this
Yeah.
is a
Approach
very
them
pre.
You
before
wouldn't
that?
find tanks more convenient.
Yeah, no hauling.
It'd have been nice to know ahead of time on it, but once it's listed with Purple Wave, I don't know if they are,
Like contracted to sell it, then.
they've already been out to photograph, so. But like I said, this is potentially rumor at this point, but I'm gonna start following it if I can see
It
it.
may not hurt to call Beloit, CAB,
CDA.
CBA, and just ask them. Tell them that we might be interested if they're selling.
Okay.
You know, there could be a
Penalty to withdraw and then just buy it
penalty
outright.
withdrawal, you know, if it hasn't been listed, you know, and may be worth our time. They may want to have some goodwill towards the county.
That's pretty much all I have.
Got anything, Bob?
Just some normal maintenance we've been doing. I've been working on a bunch of pipes, repairing the ends and stuff that are off and getting some of that done. We're pretty well getting set up to try to get the pipe in on the oil up there on 60th there out of Sylvan. We get one calls in to put our signs up for detours and all that stuff. So we'll try to get started putting posts and signs up and stuff on that. And hopefully next week we should be able to maybe get started, weather permitting, on trying to get that.
Range you out.
Well, it's out. We tried everything. Took the snow plows and spreaders off the plow trucks and stuff. Maybe it'd snow, but that didn't work. So we'll try this and get rain. Yeah, other than that, and like I say, we've hauled some gravel. Like I say, we cleaned out lines cut down there. Spotted a bunch of down in there. Got it cleaned out. So, working on a few of those things. Grading up some different old dirt roads and stuff, and replacing some culverts on them. Kinda keep hoping we get a little moisture, the roads would pack down and work a little better, but no such luck.
I had one other addition. I had photographs that I printed and I didn't grab them off the printer before it came, but we had a fender bender last Friday in which the front end of the tire truck, the 1977 Ford, sustained some damage. What it boiled down to is they were up doing some tree work, motor graders parked on the road, the pickup and trailers parked on the road. They went to load the skid steer and it lifted the back end of the pickup up. As it started to roll a little bit, he drove off the trailer, which shoved the trailer in the pickup into the back of the motor grader. So we have damage on a truck. On top of that, it would be very nice if we could get a truck purchased that's heavy enough to pull that equipment. We used to have 2 district trucks and now we have 0.
Never hurts to look. It doesn't cost so
Gonna
much.
go down the road this way.
So,
Tanner, did you have something on top of what Michael was discussing that you wanted to talk about, or?
I was gonna give you an update on Off System 87, the one that we applied and got the Off System Bridge Program money. Plans are still at KDOT getting reviewed. Cliff, I was gonna get an update from him, but he's been out. I think he's gonna be contacting landowners about getting some additional land for construction of that. But yeah, everything's progressing. I think we're still on schedule for like an August 2018 letting. So
Good.
I have had some emails and questions and phone calls just throughout the last few weeks. You know, it's been very dry, and there seems to be continual grading going on with the motor graders in this weather. The questions are just basically why. You know, can we be looking? Do you ever give instruction to the operators as far as, you know, the time of year that they should maybe be pulling ditches more, do some reshaping and resurfacing more than just grading, because we're getting to the point where in some of these areas we have such a flat surface, they're pushing all the material off to one side and then they're just pushing it back to the other side. There's no real shaping taking place. We haven't had any moisture for it to actually, you know, be a cohesive kind of material once it once the water penetrates that top layer, you know, it's just kind of dust and some of the rocks are coming through, and when you keep grading it, I guess the question is, what else can the grader operators be spending their time doing at this point in time besides just grading back and forth on a flat surface when it needs to be reshaped a little bit?
Part of that grading is because we keep getting complaints of the washboarding and stuff, so they're trying to smooth out some of those washboarding because it's so dry, it keeps washboarding the road, so some of that they're doing. I know that I've seen some that they have just bladed it, there was no need in, but
Have you explained what causes the washboard effect?
automobiles, trucks, traffic on it's what causes the washboards. Because it's so dry and the material's loose, and every time somebody runs over there, the tire spins and spins it out.
Are you talking about washboarding when you come over the road and it's going ridge?
Yeah, just like
For
a
the
washboard.
width, for the
knocks
width
it.
of the, yeah,
Yeah.
that's caused by the grader and the blade. Yeah,
Which
if
way,
you
I'll
look-
ask you this, which way is the washboard? Is it across the road this way, or is it this way?
Perpendicular at 90 degrees, or is it
a
at a
wash, a
30 degree?
washboard would be perpendicular to the travel of the road, which would be the
So
blade.
that's not the grader.
It's the wrong angle of the blade and the speed. It's right
No,
here
it's
in
not.
the construction and maintenance guide.
Well, I'll argue whole day long on that. That is not
So you're
caused by
saying that a
grader.
vehicle with four
The
separate
grader-
tires is
If it's a grader, it's gonna
creating-
be running this way on your road. It's gonna be an angle. It's not gonna be straight.
So you're saying a vehicle or a car or a truck with four separate rubber tires is creating a line across the whole road in a ridge for many yards?
Yep.
How exactly does that happen with the surface contact of rubber tires being 3 to 4 foot?
Because the material on the road is so dry and loose, your car's trying to pull you down the road, so it spins out on the rock.
But wouldn't
Keep
that
my-
just be where the surface of the tires are hitting? Where are you getting
Well,
that whole line across the road with?
Because the
Every
vehicles
car's
move, they get tired bouncing here, so they move over and move over. You got trucks, you got cars, vehicles.
Well, everything that I read says that if it's the improper angle of the blade and if the speed is too fast, you're going to get those ridges.
Yeah, you
An
will.
angle, not
But it's
straight
gonna be an
across.
angle, it's not gonna be straight. They don't run their blade straight down the road when they're blading. They run it at an angle. And that's where the washboard will be, it'll be at an angle. So everybody blames the grader, but it's not, unless that's at an angle.
Most typically, and a good way to see it is the fact that they usually happen where any acceleration and deceleration occurs. That's where it starts progressing it. You can see it off the ends of bridges,
Round corners.
round corners. Any
And
place that
stop
speeds
sign.
change, the tire, you know, the friction has caused it to manipulate the material to a different location a little bit. And then
think-
once it gets started, it's gonna continue to get worse as suspensions hit it. And it bounces in the bottom, it'll kick it on, you know,
If you're
there's,
talking about those acceleration and deceleration points where you come to a stop sign or a bridge or a railroad track, I understand what you're saying, but those aren't perfectly layered with the same dimensions between, you know, when I talk about washboarding, I'm not talking about, oh, you got some ruts here and a little, and the wash of the rain or something has drifted out some of the material. I'm talking about a very obvious, segmented and, you know, a particular width, which would be the width of a blade. And it happens on, you know, maybe a far stretch at a long time. If you read through any of the materials, it says that commonly happens if, you know, the angle is wrong and you're cutting down in, and your grader would then be basically jumping between the hard spots that it hits.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
speed at which you're blading.
Yeah, you know, like I say, it's gonna be pretty consistent with either way. But like I say, if it's straight across, it's traffic that causes it. If it's on an angle, it's a grader that causes it. You can pick that out anytime, anywhere you wanna go. This county, any other county, anywhere.
So what my original question is, when we're having blading go on throughout the dry weather, throughout the winter, what alternatives do we have to put that manpower to use to do some of the things that need done? You know, I did a 2-year calculation of how many ditches had been pooled, and a lot of them were just for particular projects that were going on, whether it be some of the signage issues or culverts, things like that. I'm talking about just road maintenance, pulling ditches. You know, how, are we going to instruct our crew that there's a certain time of year to be looking at that and a certain portion of their route that is in need of that? Because what we're going to experience if and when we get some spring rain is going to be the same thing that we've had going on without addressing that in an actual instructional way, instead of just leaving it
That's
up.
what I said a while ago. We were grading up roads. We've been working on pulling ditches, shaping up roads, putting culverts in. I just said that a while ago. Not everywhere we've got, but with different areas we're working on those. Right now we have been, because it's dry and some of the places are real wet, we've been trying to get in. We've had some farmers that's been wanting fences. They're replacing their fence and they want them kind of back slope and stuff where they put their fences in, so we've been working on those.
In what I did, which was break down all of the separate areas by one calls according to where ditches were pulled and the road was maybe reshaped, I broke it down into what the purpose was of each project. And I know we had significantly less in 2017 than we did in the previous year, and the flooding and everything that you had manpower giving attention to, I understand that. But one thing that I noticed was there were very specific areas where one operator would do that regularly, and maybe some operators in another area never did. So I'm wondering, how do we address that and give instruction to say this is the time of year when you should be doing a few miles of ditch cleaning and road reshaping?
That's what I've been, like I say, we're doing now, and it's been trying to get that across to the guys. We need to work on this while some of these places are dry, and we can. We do.
I mean, if you look through the road markers as far as where, you know, on the map these have been pinpointed, it would obviously be one particular operator in his 100-mile section that he's responsible for who was going about this process more diligently or more regularly than others who may not have done any in a whole year or in 2 years.
Yeah.
Some areas never got a ditch pulled in 2 years. So how do we address that?
Some of that goes back to, like I said a while ago, weather conditions have an effect on it. Last year it was so wet that you couldn't get in the ditch a lot of places in grade. We had all the rain in the spring and flooding around and stuff, so you couldn't do that. I know you get tired of me saying weather, but weather controls us more than anything.
Oh no, I understand you're concerned about the weather, but you just got done saying that for the last several weeks you had been doing this. So my question is, how do you get it evenly distributed throughout the county? You know, if you have one operator who does that regularly and he's been on top of it, how do you get other people to assimilate that? And you know, how do you spread that knowledge so that we don't have one operator in this 100-mile area that never pulls a ditch, and the other one is maybe doing it routinely as necessary, you know, according to what the instructions would be?
When you're pulling ditches like that, do you run more than one operator?
Usually run 2 of them and sometimes 3, because sometimes we run a roller with it when they're pulling it, so 3. And like I say, some of this goes back to, these people have been cutting trees and stuff here in some of these areas, so they're working on trees and don't have time to do this.
Your culvert crew is cutting trees?
Culvert's a different thing, huh?
Your culvert crew is cutting trees? Your bridge crew is cutting trees?
No, they're working on culverts, like I said a while ago. They've been repairing culverts here for I don't know how long now.
So all of the blade operators at one time are all cutting trees together?
No, not all of them.
Certain areas.
Whatever territory they're in, they help the
So
truck driver and crew during the winter does most of the tree trimming, but they work with the route people in their routes, and maybe both of the blade men from that route will help, and they'll work in their territory and stuff.
So if you have a certain area that's working on tree trimming, how do you instruct the other area that's not to go ahead and pay attention to these drainage issues that we have with not pulling ditches and the erosion kind of filling in?
We just kind of take it as where the situation is worse, like say, working on some of the ditches that farmers want to put their fence in or cleaning up so they can put a new fence in. They like to have that shaped up. So we work on them. Some of them are helping the bridge crew, whatever, work on pipe, like I say. So.
With the
they've
phone
been
calls and
sucking the
emails
work
that you've
it
had,
whenever they can on these dirt roads and stuff to get them shaped up.
with the phone calls and emails that you had, could you get us a list of the concerns so we could address those concerns that you had? And we will go look at it and get a operator busy on that if we see that it needs to be done.
We need to move on, we're getting way behind.
Question, okay. This road that I know that goes from 14 over to the Vesper Road, I know my cousin Kurt has asked the commissioners to work on that because of the condition it's in, and that being the only road that goes from one place to the other. But this is what they have been running into. So this is the ditch, and you got this big old, it's pretty much a waterway. The road's become a waterway.
That
There.
Red Rock Road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were talking about.
And then-
working on it.
One of the next
Yeah,
things
it's
we're
on the
doing
list
is
to
The
get
problem
worked
they
on
run
here.
is with the rock. See how that's all gone in, and that's just not a good condition. But that's just one road they were concerned about, and I know Kurt has talked to them about it. But it's been, I think, several weeks.
It was on the list last year to do, and then didn't get done, so.
And I know it's not a highly traveled road, but it's just been on the list for quite a while, so.
Okay, guys, we need to move on.
You all have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
I have some
Oh, I
weather
just
reports.
would say that they've expressed appreciation for the graders at the fire. I think that's Beverly.
Yes.
They very much appreciated. The landowner contacted me and wondered how we did that. And I said, well, it's kind of up to you guys to decide whether we needed to send graders, and we would. We had fires. Thank you.
Well,
I have a piece of material here for you out of the gravel roads construction and maintenance guide, and this is put out by the U.S. Department of Transportation. It'll explain, they call it officially corrugation and not washboarding, but it has like some explanations here talking about how the grader causes it and what it looks like, where it's different when
if
it
you
does
need to
have.
Read it through good.
Yeah, I'll
Because
give
it-
it to you so you can see what I'm talking about,
I've
because
got
it
two or
gives.
three books down there that come out of.
Okay, so then we're still not understanding, because see these lines that go clear across the road? It specifically says right here, it is caused by excess greater speed and lack of
If you
crown.
look at
See,
those, they're
look
going
at the
at an
lines.
angle. Those are
They're
going
running
at
at an angle, not straight across. That's what
Okay,
I've been trying to
this-
get across to you.
Well, this is what they're saying is caused at points of acceleration and deceleration. And
Yeah.
it's more of a ridge, like a wash
But
from
what
the
he's trying-
actual material moving. See
What he's
this
trying to
here?
tell you is, you see these are at an angle across the road. These go directly
There's-
perpendicular with the road.
When
Well,
the blade, if it's a
perpendicular to
blade,
the road versus actually
when
with
the blade
lines
is
of road
blading the
different.
road, he's running his blade this way, going down here, so they're gonna be this way.
I understand that, but
If
when you hit it, you're
traffic,
still
if he was
going
blading
along.
it, causing them straight across, he won't do that.
Well, if you look at this picture, it'll show you the difference.
I've seen that picture, I've read the book, I've got 2 or 3 of them down here.
Okay, so
You're
what
not
we're,
following what they're saying.
what we're talking about here is definitely when you get that kind of a width the whole way across the road, whether it's at a 45-degree angle, a 30-degree angle, a 20-degree angle, you know, regardless, it's still the width of the blade. These are washed off into smaller sections where you're talking about it might be caused by a tire. It's not the whole
As
width
long
of
as
the
it's straight
road,
across
or
as a
half
tire,
of
if
the
it's
road.
an angle, it's a grader. All right.
Eric? Sorry we're running late here today. We started out pretty early, but that changes.
That's all right. Things happen.
what I've got for you is some good news, more, it's a change order, but we're actually, taking away $27,000.
Oh,
So.
we like those.
We're still quite a bit under the estimate and tens of thousands of dollars under the original bid. So what this is, I'll show it to you. There's 3 copies. The first is a tub area in the corridor. It's going down one of the corridors. It's no longer being used as a bathing area because they needed storage, and so they've been storing wheelchairs, walkers, that kind of stuff in there, and the tub's in the way. So while
The North Hall, is that on the northwest?
trying to get my directions mixed up. So we got a price from them for that, to remove that. A lot of that is, there is plumbing that goes under the floor that needs to be capped, and so they gotta get in there and cap that. And then the hole that's in the floor has to be patched, made level, so you can put a tile over it. And then there's a little bit of cost for the new tile. That's that. And the other one is in the kitchen area, in the, you know, where the dishwashing machine was. Well, when we took everything out of there and started taking the flooring up, we discovered black mold, old black mold. So we were able to address that, and that has come down. That's also in the wall. There's a FRB panels like what you got in the bathroom over here. That's fiberglass reinforced panels. Well, the joints where they come together, there's a H-shape molding. If that's not caulked all the way down, water can get in and get behind it. So what we got a problem there was we've got that black dead back mold behind that, and so we thought we should take care of that. Originally thought of going back maybe with the FRP again, but we figured that you're going to end up with the same problem again if it's because of the way it's put in. So the stainless steel panels that they have available for that will seal that off, and you'll be able to have pretty much a complete moisture resistant wall in there. So stainless steel is more expensive than fiberglass panels, but it'll give you a lot longer life going in there. And then you could see with the tax, they had put tax in their bid, and Don had got a tax exempt number, so we're, from that point on, not paying any taxes. So I got that from the contractor, what that amount is, so we've got that in that change order. So
Okay, this math isn't adding up here.
oh, well, I just allowed the spreadsheet to do that. I didn't.
Change. Okay, what I have here is the original sum of the contract was $493,000. That was the original.
Mhm.
And the net change by previously authorized change orders was minus $27,342.04, which equals $465,657.96. Now what I'm getting is you're proposing an additional $27,176.37 deduction, which brings us down to $438,481.59. What you're proposing with this change you just said was an additional $9,886 and some change here, or 87 and some change, correct? But it starts off again with the 493,000, and then
Are you on streets?
yeah.
Yeah, their numbers are different than ours, because that is a proposed change order, and some of the proposed change orders we did not bring to you. So their numbers, what we need to look at is the amount for that proposed change order.
So from you, well, it says is this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
this
you-
is from you. You're saying we're down to 438,481.59, but then you want to add an additional 9,880 something.
Yeah.
The savings from the tax
Oh,
bill
you're
is
taking this off the
37,500, yeah, and then he's taking the
Yeah, if
$9,000
you
worth of
follow
work
that
off.
left-hand column,
So
there'll
where
be
are the
plus and
previous
minuses.
changes that we did a few weeks ago? Because wasn't 493 the very original number?
Yep. They're right there in that 27,000 for the previous.
But this is from just today. This
Yeah.
37,000.
Right.
But then add on a 9,000. So
And there's the previous 27,000. Contract sum prior change to this change order was 27,000.
okay, so it was 20,000 less $27,342.04 last time
Yeah.
change order. This time is an additional less 27,176.
Yeah, they're so close together.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got a good point there. It's confusing.
Two
I'm
different
sorry.
times we're
Right.
potentially now approving an additional one. Okay, and I looked
Yeah.
at theirs, so I
Yeah.
thought that was
Yeah,
okay.
and I'm sorry, that
So-
should have clarified.
Okay.
But, you know, I think it's, those are two legitimate ads that will benefit the facility, and while we've got the guys, those guys are moving faster than you wouldn't believe.
Good.
They almost got the kitchen done with the tile they're putting down, and about all the vinyl's down, so they are moving fast. And then the electricians and the plumbers will get involved, and we'll get that. In fact, the generator and auto transfer switch and all that being reviewed right now, the shop drawings, so they'll be going ahead with that pretty quick.
Just,
Did they, excuse me, go ahead.
no, go ahead if you're still on the same topic.
I was just gonna ask, have you, and I don't get the paper or anything, but have you talked with the city about the transformers that's gonna be, okay, all right.
I was just gonna jump back to the flooring question. I had previously asked you, because we received this at the last change order, it was like something 4,000 odd, to do the crack that they had found that continued the entire length of that hall.
Right, it was, there's double cracks that went there, one that we had called for and one that was found when they took the tile.
And so in the original project plans, when you addressed the cracks that were just the doorways,
Mhm.
that floor repair, the total estimate on that was somewhere around 20,000. I was just wondering why there was such a discrepancy there between doing portions of the hall length and then doing the entire hall length for 1/5 of the cost.
Well, here's their breakdown on their progress billing that was approved last month, their first billing, and they have GC crack repair, $2,880 is what is the scheduled value for the crack repair. So,
I'm talking about the plans that you presented to us.
right, that's what I'm talking about here.
But it was at 20-some thousand that your estimate for doing the floor.
It was my estimate, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
So
I estimated
that's,
high.
so is that?
The estimate was high. But the actual bid, which was, if you remember, the
When
bids
they-
came
right,
in way below
right.
the estimate. Okay. The actual bid was $2,880.20.
Okay, that's where I was having
Yeah.
trouble thinking
Sorry.
back to what those numbers meant when we approved
Yeah,
the
we,
initial request for proposal.
we estimated it deliberately high because it's a kind of an unknown element. Yes, you can see the crack. Yes, you can identify the length of it, but what you don't know is when you start working into that crack, how much that's going to break off and all that. So I figured the worst scenario when I did my estimate, because I really don't like coming to you and asking you for more money. So,
No, it's a lot nicer.
Well, if I remember right, they were about 200,000.
303,000 low.
But some of the others were
Yeah.
Rough close to
We
the
had
estimate.
2 that was real close to the estimate, so they were just, phenomenally low. So,
That's great.
so far, I cannot complain. They're doing well. They're working hard. They're working fast.
That's good.
So, yes, it is. And it's to their benefit. The faster they work, the more money they make. So.
Move on to the next
I
project.
would move to approve the change order for Lincoln Park Manor, a reduction of $27,176.37. To contractor street plumbing.
So far, I mean, like I said, it's been going smooth. I mean, I knew we were gonna, like we discussed before we went out for bid, that, with remodeling, you never know what you're gonna run into, and mark on Formica, we're doing good.
What is the number on this change order? 4, I'm sorry, it's not in a numeric.
And I'll get you a copy as soon as we're done here.
I have a motion on the floor to approve the change order number 4.
I'll second.
I have a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Have we moved back into the North Hall yet, or are we getting close to moving residents?
We are in the North Hall, finishing up there. We've still got paintings.
Some paintings to do.
You haven't got the residents moved back?
Not yet, not back to the North Hall yet. We're kind of finishing up there. We are in the kitchen.
And finish up
Tiles,
in the
I
dining
can
room.
show you pictures of it.
Yeah.
But the tile, they've still got to go back into the storage room, that back hallway, and then they'll work down that environmental hall at the tail end of this whole thing and do the laundry and all that.
Yeah,
But
okay.
moving right along.
All right, yeah. I know I had some family members asking the other day of how much longer it would be before they could get their
Very nice.
family back.
Well, according to Greg, they worked over the weekend, so.
Yeah, the flooring crew came up and worked over the weekend and caught up quite a bit, so we're doing real well.
Yeah, I'm real pleased with how they're doing it and how they're working with the staff and everything. So,
Yeah, it seems to be smooth when I've been up there.
yeah, for remodeling, it's remarkably smooth. So,
Keep your fingers crossed it could change.
Yep.
well, we're gonna hope for the best. Plan for the worst, I guess. So, that's all I had for you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
If you don't mind, I want to piggyback on Eric here real quick.
Oh.
You're okay, Eric. I just wanted to pass this stuff on to you guys. I got that other estimate for the fire doors.
Oh, okay.
It came in higher than the other one.
Oh, really?
I was really hoping it'd be a lot less, but they actually came in higher on us.
I'd sure ask for a breakdown on that.
I'm going to. I've got a hold of the voicemail of Mark Deaver from Topeka Foundry, and let him know that he was very high, and that I want a breakdown of that so we can review it as well.
Yeah.
But want to get those numbers to you guys.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Terry.
Okay, Sondra, did you still need to talk to us? You took care of it? Okay.
I do have the bills.
Oh,
so-
you do?
Yes,
Okay.
I do. I'm sorry, I found them. It is paint and construction adhesive, and this is more paint transformer
What's that? Be for the lights, probably.
and
Electric lights, that kind of thing.
the grease trap. I thought we already did this. Did we not already do the grease trap for $500?
Well, I don't think we ever approved it. I think we had the bill, but we talked about it that day, but. I
More
think
paint, and then access control systems. It just says balance for access control systems. Do you know who that is for Lincoln Park Manor? I did
Is
find
that
the
the
bills, so
door
I
deal?
found
That's
them, I'm sorry.
the doors on the outside,
Yeah.
those.
the door on
We
the
haven't
bill.
finished the bed.
Okay, and then another breaker and an hour of labor for Precision Electrical. apologize. I did have
We
them.
got this week's here too.
Glad
Did
you
you look
did,
at
'cause
these?
I wasn't even sure what there was in the box.
We found them, that's the important thing.
So don't leave it near me because I will take it home.
Well, here it starts.
You take them, you pay it. You take, you pay.
Start sliding it all your way.
This is for the garbage disposal repair.
I think you mentioned that one last time.
And then another access control systems, why? How many
Whenever
times?
they have problems on the doors, they have to call them.
It says reinstalled keypad and program. I mean, but in my opinion, you know, we own the building, but we don't necessarily own the security system. I would think that the leasee has certain provisions that they need to run their business, and if you need that type of security system, I would think that that expense is on you as the business owner. I mean, if I want a security alarm on my house that I rent from my landlord, I don't ask my landlord to pay for my security alarm. So in that sense, I really think that some of these expenses belong to the business, because if we were renting this building to another operation that didn't have that security alarm, we wouldn't necessarily be paying for it. I would say that that kind of an expense comes along with the type of business that is renting our facility, not necessarily, the landlord doesn't pay for additional amenities. You know, it's like if
But we own the system.
but I think it was installed for the purpose of the business that was there, not because the county built the building and then put in a particular alarm system. I mean, they could have any alarm system. At this point, what you're saying is they could just choose to upgrade it and send us the bill. I think those kind of things, I mean,
To upgrade it, they'd have to come in to get it approved. That would come out of the maintenance fund.
this one's for.
You know, when the building, if the renter leasee changes, the one leasee isn't gonna take the security system off the doors, and the new leasee is not gonna put a new security system on the doors.
But I, as a landlord, would not rent to my tenant and say that I would pay for any amenity that they chose to operate because they had a specific, you know, need for their operation. It's just, this one says that they were troubleshooting the furnace and found that the pilot light went out, so that was $65, but I thought we paid for maintenance, or there was a maintenance agreement there.
That doesn't mean that the one maintenance guy's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He may actually go someplace or take a vacation and
Yeah, I don't see that it says it was like an after-hours emergency call or something. It says it was on a Friday. This is for a receptacle and sheet metal screws. A sidewall register, I don't know what that is.
that'd be a furnace vent type deal.
Oh, a register vent. Sheetrock. And switch plates, outlet covers. And GFI receptacles. I mean, I think that routine maintenance on your security system should be an operating expense for the business, not the landlord's responsibility. Other than that, we've already approved the paint, so that's on there, and other fixed, you know, the furnace and the vent and the electrical plate covers and things like that, I guess.
Okay, Alexis, you got something else for us today?
Sondra just had it.
Oh, I thought
On
she
this,
said you was
I
done.
thought I did, but on this document, can I backdate, cause I put it to 2018 like the original, cause that still gives you 6 months.
Is that
This is a new one that she brought.
That's for March 31st, right? Did you say March 31st?
Yeah.
It just says March, but is it okay if I put 18? right there like it was before, because that still gives you 6 months, and they've already got all the gravel, they just have a few rocks to haul out and to pile it back. So that'll give you till September to get that all leveled out, which they're there now, I mean, working on it, so. And Michael's promised me he
I
would
don't
get it
have
done.
a problem as long as, if, I think we need to check with Michael, make sure he can have that done.
Okay,
But other than that, I
Yeah.
don't care.
so just hold off
Just take it down.
to Michael,
Yeah, take it down to Michael and see if that's.
kosher with him?
Yeah,
Okay,
See,
visit with him,
I mean,
and he can bring it back to us.
Okay.
As long as he's comfortable
Okay
with
with
it,
it?
I don't have a problem with
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get a chance to discuss this bridge list, but I am thankful for it. I mean, I know I've been asking for over a year for its production, so I'm glad that it's here. And I do see that there's a list of priorities. We have about 18 on here. But I just wondered, maybe you guys could explain, the process by which we are funding some of these, because I have the first two are OS 98 and OS 105, which are both just west of Lincoln here, off of, what is that road?
No,
Is that Milo?
Milo,
Is it yes, it's Milo.
I think it's Milo.
the one's on Milo, the one's on the south.
The one is the one that we discussed about, I believe it was you, Dawn, that said people need to haul their trash across, so we,
I said that's the way they go when they're fully loaded, so that they don't blow up on the highway.
The other one's on the north-south road.
yeah, what
South
is
of the
that
intersection.
one? This is Milo. This looks like 170th, maybe?
Probably.
So I'm just wondering from this list, how are we identifying, the need here? Of course, he has some average daily traffic and the sufficiency rating, the percentage.
Well, I think these three, aren't they? These three, the ones that have to be inspected every year because they're so bad. And I would say that those, to a certain extent, the engineers helping prioritize them. I'm not prioritizing them.
So we have contractor replacement costs for the first three at, OS 98, 135,000, that was the trash bridge. OS 105, which is just southwest of that, 135,000, and then 59, where did I see that? That is up in the northeast corner at 180,000. It's a low water bridge.
No, yeah, but that will be a low priority. It's one that is,
Barely, it's on a dirt road.
yeah,
Barely
it may have to be barricaded.
Well, that one's listed as priority number 3.
Yeah, but
Well,
You're disagreeing with that?
I don't think there's any intention to replace
Yeah.
that.
Those
Because
come
that
off
is that would be a major
I
problem.
think those were prioritized off the bridge inspection.
Well, this is where we're starting though. This is the discussion that we need to have. So then after that is 57. Which one is that? I see 56. I don't see 57. The 8 is way up in the corner. Oh, it's down here on
Yeah. Down
Quartz, or no, what is that, 290th? Would that be 290th?
Possibly.
57.
295.
And near Quartz, so there's a little, so is that a highly trafficked area that people have few ways to?
Which one where are you at, 290th?
They have priority number 4 is OS 57, which goes down on 290th and meet right about Quartz. It looks like Quartz to me.
Oh, that's
Between
a
Quartz and
dirt
Cliff.
road, that's a dirt road.
That's another dirt road,
It's a
but,
dirt road.
okay, so we're
but
gonna
it's,
question that one. Okay, so now we go, number 5 on the priority list is 107, OS 107. Which looks to me like it's just west of Lincoln. What is that? It's right outside the city center there. What road would that be? Do you see what that, see where it is right there? But it has an A. I don't know what that A means. Oh no, down south of there.
107A.
No, here we go. Here's 107.
Oh,
That's A.
Oh,
That
yeah.
says 107A, but that says 107.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's that. That's on
That's down on Bullfoot Creek.
183rd.
That's on Bullfoot. It'd
Okay,
be,
that-
you go a mile, you go to the cemetery south of Lincoln, go west a mile and then south. Right there, you know where Dan Hanel lives, it's right there at Dan Hanel's house.
One 183rd. Yeah. And then we have OS 65, which is one of the ones that I was talking about on the west border there. That is the one that has the outlet from the lake, correct?
No, it's the one up on the north-south.
It's north
road.
of that.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, that's the one, yes,
On
on
the east
Kiowa,
road.
that's right, which I would agree with. I've had a lot of people make comments about that, and say that they even thought it was on some sort of priority list in the past when you guys had been doing your 5-year bridge plan. Is that true?
I don't remember that bridge being on there then.
But you said it was like 120 some foot bridge eventually. I know it is.
500, the old estimate's 591,000, but they were talking.
630,000.
620,000, they were talking more like 750,000 or so when they were in here the other day. But these are, these are prioritized off the grid inspection, that's all. Like Aljo said, that one on that dirt road will be probably worked on.
Well, and I think that's the feedback we need to give them. Okay, thank you for this list, but if we're gonna say from the get-go that OS 59 and OS 57 are on dirt roads that are gonna be low on the priority list compared to some of these others on gravel roads, and it looks like these two are fracture critical. And it looks like this one has a much higher average daily traffic, than the one above it.
The difference is these two we can build ourselves. These are the ones we're gonna have to apply for state funds.
What is the number that we're getting the state funds for this year? 87? Does that sound?
That's right.
87, wasn't it?
I think it's 87. So that's already on the list.
87, yeah.
87. We're getting funds this year.
Yeah. There goes the bid.
So
Did you
then-
say August, I think you said?
So then the question is, when we apply, which bridge are we applying for? When we reapply for those state funds? And you're saying that 98 and 105, which are the ones just west of Lincoln here, that we have the potential to do those ourselves.
Yeah.
And who would be leading that bridge crew to do those? Because from what I understand, we don't have the same people that were previously building bridges, and the last bridge we built was several years ago.
But I think they're capable, these size bridges, those guys are capable of building them. With a little bit of, instruction from Bob. Those guys are capable of doing these bridges. Those two small bridges.
Okay, and then we have, number 7 on this list is OS 49.
Is it okay to do the 2018 online, paper?
Right there, that's another
We
dirt
gotta
road.
keep one. The
Do you
commissioners
see
are
that?
okay with it, they just.
Of course, there's not much way to get through there though, unless you go all the way
Because
around.
that gives you
I think
till
that's that one
September,
American's Ranch
which
up
you've
there.
already got all the
What
gravel
used to
out.
be the other thing. Is there another small one? How big is it?
49 is, it doesn't give a length, but if the replacement cost is
Yeah,
135,000, so it
there'd be
can't be
another
that big.
small bridge. Be another one we could at some point build ourselves.
And then we have OS 21. Where's that? Oh, there's 20. Oh, there it is.
I guess that's
Yeah.
all.
Okay, so
What do you
what
mean
is that
state?
That would
80th.
be,
On 80th?
must have been up there someplace. Trying to picture that bridge.
Okay,
Is that?
yeah, that's fine.
It's not
That's
far
fine,
north
I
of
just,
18,
like I said, I
right?
just don't want tax to 19, that's fine with that.
What's the crossroad
I
there?
would go speakerphone and let them
Just
know
south of
that
Oak?
you're okay with 2018.
Yeah. Wouldn't open. That little.
It looks like right there.
Yeah, that's fine here.
Grant Township.
It's your speakerphone. I have Mike here, and he's gonna agree to the 2018. Okay, here we go, just a minute. Okay, Mike, go ahead and explain.
You know, we're about done with that pit anyway, so I'm fine with it as long as we don't hit some other circumstances in which we cannot get the reclamation plan concluded through the state. But as long as Tim and Sondra are willing to work with us to get to that point, at the point of the conclusion of the contract, I do not have a problem with it 2018.
And that's fine with me. Is that okay with you guys?
Okay.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
That's all right.
That's fine. So that's OS 21. It doesn't even look like a river goes through, or a stream goes through there. It looks like it's at the end. Is that a stone bridge? It just says piling though, so that can't, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the president, I'm just not.
Well, that's the replacement list, because they have marked replace. Now, they have a separate list of another 9 bridges that have a repair marking, but they don't come with any cost, associated costs.
Yeah.
But so my question is, you know, these first 2 bridges on the list, if they had 135,000 apiece, what,
Those are, if we contracted them.
right, so, but what are we looking at spending out of this year's budget for special bridge fund, for example? Is all of that being allocated toward OS 87 to do the match
No.
project?
No, I don't think so.
So do you have any idea where we would be in that process as far as what funds?
I, not off the top of my head, I don't know.
Okay, special machinery. Special building improvement, special road. Special county road. Okay, special bridge. I have 100 and, at this point, 114,743.
I don't know how much we have left here.
Dawn, am I to understand that when we do the match funds with the state program, when they give us the percentage of the project, so, and right now we're approved for Bridge OS 87, are we taking our portion of that project out of the special bridge fund?
At some point in time,
Yeah,
yes.
when
the
they bill
state
us, they'll
decides.
bill us, won't they?
And
Do you
then I think-
remember what our portion of that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Wasn't it like 700,000 total?
I honestly can't answer that, because
I would say that's reasonably close, but I don't have that number right in front of me.
and I know we have to pay for the,
Engineering,
yeah, and they charge out in phases, so, you know, if there's $100,000 in that budget, it may not be there by the end of the year, just because of those pre-forecasted expenses.
Well, these are the kind of conversations we need to be having with the highway department.
And the other thing you have to keep in mind, which I didn't realize until last year or the year before, is that 2 mil levy limit for special bridge.
I don't know what you mean.
You're only allowed 2 mils to levy in the special bridge fund.
So
It's apparently capped by statute.
then how did we get to, did we end up with 2 mills being equal to 115,000? Because I thought what we budgeted 2 mills was 112 something.
Well, what are you looking at? Are you looking at budget or are you looking at cash? Because there's two different things.
The budget amount in the first column is budget.
There's carryover.
You have carryover, yeah, and then it confused down. I'd have to look at the
Yeah.
budget.
There was money probably carried over from previous year.
Okay. So then my question is, any of these particular projects that we start on, you know, where is this money coming from? Because if the special bridge fund only has enough in it to pay out our engineering fees and the 20% of the project that we're already approved.
I think you can use special road. I think there's multiple places it can come from. I don't think it has to come out of special bridge. I think special bridge is more for the contracted bridges, bigger bridges.
I think yes and no. I mean, in the past, that's what it's been primarily for, but you can take any bridge out of it.
Yeah. But I mean, what we've done in the past is used it for these bigger bridges that we have to contract.
I mean, I guess you know, like in our special machinery fund, we put 365,000, and I understand that your intention has been to replace 2 new graders every year. But a lot of the question boils down to, what good is new equipment if we're closing down bridges all around, you know, the routes that they're working on? We have to find a way to try to internally fund some of this. And like you said, if we're capable of doing 1 or 2 of these bridges ourselves, who is going to put together the plans to work on that? Because
Well,
here
that
we
would
are in March.
That would be a Tanner Yost thing.
It says Special Highway Improvement Fund, 125,941. That's not the blacktop, is it? It is.
Bulk of what we use it for, yeah.
So what is on the rotation this year for blacktop?
Westfall.
Westfall.
Which I think is the furthest distance.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
The longest
most
stretch.
highest, it's the highest cost one.
What is the special road improvement? It has 5,900.
I don't know if it's anything specific.
Special road improvement, it just says beginning year balance $5,963.90.
Okay. What that is, and it really should have more money in there because we forgot to do it again, but when he comes in with that contract for the,
Signs?
no, not the signs, for what used to be our bridge funds that the state is giving us, and this year they changed it to 75% that they're giving us. They can
Yeah.
use the highway department's expenses to get that money, because they have to provide documentation that they spent it. So they're using the chip seal projects to do. And with that, then, when they get the reimbursement, because that money is really supposed to be for what we used to call the 5-year bridge plan, to help replace bridges, then it was supposed to come in, but it has to come in road and bridge, and then we have to journal, or we have to transfer it. So you did the $5,000 transfer, but I didn't realize that they'd gotten their money. Nobody told me that they got their money, in September or October after they submitted for the chip sealing project, so I didn't transfer the funds. So those funds are still hanging out in road and bridge fund.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand. You're saying the special road improvement, we can transfer, like at the end of the year, you can transfer into that as a capital improvement type fund?
Each of the funds you're allowed to transfer a certain percentage. This particular money is, okay, what used to be the special bridge fund, I'm sorry, okay, so special bridge fund, the state used to always pay, this was the 5-year, let's just say 5-year bridge plan, sorry,
Okay.
5-year bridge plan. The state, you would do your 5-year bridge plan, then they would award projects, and as they award projects, they would bill you out for whatever project was awarded based upon how much money you have in their account that they said that you could use, and then your match money. So our money always went directly to the state, stayed at the state level. Now the state is saying, we're no longer going to have this 5-year bridge plan. You can apply for all these 2 different grant funds, but we're going to give you your money outright based upon projects that you complete. So like, they are choosing to use the chip seal project because that's something that we could complete, but they could use a bridge project. So say you approve the bridge out on Milo Drive to have whoever drive the piling and you get that bridge done. They could submit that and get their reimbursement for that 75%. And that's the dollar amount that you guys signed a contract.
And how many times, what dollar amount are we allowed to do that for? I mean, that's incentive to finish
what they
projects.
get.
One time a year.
Up to what dollar amount?
Well, I don't remember what that contract was. You guys
He gave
had
us
it.
a number the other day, it was lower than it's ever been.
I don't know why I was
Plus, they're
thinking
taking-
40-some thousand.
75% of,
Whatever the state had said our maximum amount
I
was
didn't
from the
write that
federal
down.
It
government.
wasn't much.
I don't know why I was thinking 40-some
but you're
thousand.
saying
Yeah,
when,
that's what I
when we receive that, that's where the funds go. When
The-
we receive our reimbursement, they.
Well, what happens is wherever you spent the money out of is where the money gets put. So when they get their reimbursement from the state, it goes to the road and bridge fund. Well, what they were wanting to do, the original plan was when that money come in, and we got reimbursed because it's a project that could be reimbursed, we would put it in that other fund because you can't transfer into special bridge, you have to transfer into something else. And we would bank that money so that when you had a bigger project to do, you would have the money to pay for it. The problem is when it's getting reimbursed, nobody's telling me that it's getting reimbursed, and when December 31st comes around, it's done.
Yeah, so my question then is, the Special Highway Improvement Fund, which is where the chip seal money comes from,
No, the chip seal money comes from
I thought that's
road
what I
and bridge.
but that's what I just asked you because I said it has 125,941 in it. So what is that for?
Okay. That, I think, is where we've put some of the money. Other money came from, originally, when we created that fund, they were hoping to move the highway department shop outside of the middle of the city of Lincoln and move it out where the fuel tanks is at. But you have to have money to do that. So basically what they were doing was any portion of the remaining budget, they would give to special machinery, special county road, and if they felt like there was enough, they would deposit some money in there. So like when we built that fuel facility out there and put in the pumps, it came out of there.
Okay,
But we haven't done anything more for the building, and no offense, 100,000 is not gonna build a shop.
well, forgive my ignorance here again, but I have Department 39, Special Road Improvement, Department 40, Highway Special Building Improvement. So you're saying you created that fund for the building improvement with an intention to eventually build a new shop?
Yes, the one that has the 100 and some thousand.
This one?
Yes.
Special building, and then this is special road. So the road improvement has $5,963 in it. The building improvement has $125,941. So were we taking any money out of this last year?
I think that we put money into that, because I wanna say that was only like 70-some thousand, but let me look and I'll tell you for sure.
And that was started 20-some years ago, wasn't it?
I can't remember if Doris was here or if it was one of the first years I was here.
30 years have been very low money.
But then there's a separate fund. Well, there's special machinery. That's a separate fund. And then there's special county road, which says there's nothing in it.
Right, because we haven't put anything. Now, you're allowed to transfer 25% of the road and bridge fund. I'm positive it's 25%, but don't hold me to it. To special machinery, special county road, a special road improvement, there's certain state statutes that allow you to transfer.
And
So
special
a lot of
bridge.
counties will levy money and do that, so that way they have money. Special Highway Improvement Fund, so Fund 16. I put in last year the bridge money, or the allocated amount. I don't think they call it bridge money anymore, because
No.
they have.
We're talking about
specific
this
projects.
75-25,
Yeah.
Yes,
What
I think
used-
it was
reimbursement.
like
What used to
80.
be the funding for 5-year bridge.
but it's a reimbursement. We have to spend the money first.
Yeah.
Yes, so it has to come into road and bridge, because that's where the money was expended.
So you did take it from road and bridge, let's call it road and bridge general, and put it into the road and bridge special building improvement. And it was how much from last year?
It was 43,933.87. And then there was another, and I can journal entry and fix that, because I think our goal was to put it all into the one fund. So that way, when they got ready to do bridges, they could say,
But you're saying,
hang on, there was another $5,963. So add those two numbers together, and that's what we received as a reimbursement in 2017.
I think it's 42 this year.
42,000 total
I
as
think
the
that's-
75%?
I think that's what,
But you're saying every year we've used the chip seal project, spent the money to do it, turned it in, reimbursed for the 75% of whatever the number
yeah.
ends up
Yes.
being. And it used to be 80% or something.
Yes, and apparently last year, my memory is failing me, but apparently last year I did the transfer. The year before we did not, and this is a new thing, because I think in 2016 was the first year that they started doing
Yeah.
that.
It hasn't been very long.
But they dissolved the 5-year bridge plan, so this was their way of passing those federal dollars through.
The 5-year bridge plan was a lot better deal for us.
So when we budgeted for the special machinery fund, was that budgeted directly to there, or is that happen as a transfer at the end of the
It
year?
happens as a transfer at the end of the year.
Okay. That's
And
what I
part of
thought.
that comes down to, like, when he sends you his proposed budget, if you remember, there's like capital outlay and there's like equipment purchases and things like that. So if there's funds remaining, then it's kind of up to you guys to decide. In years past, they did half and half. Half of whatever was left went into each of the funds.
And are these the last two old graders that are being replaced if we do that?
There's 4.
I was
There's-
thinking there was 2 more years.
Yeah, there's 4
This
left.
year and the next year. But one of those is just it's not in route, it's just a backup.
No, we have a
So there's
backup.
technically 3 left that are,
No, there's 4, and then we have a backup that we won't be replacing.
there are still 4 routes that don't have an upgraded route grader right now.
We have 11 total, and 1 is a backup.
But from what I'm seeing, we have 365,000 in that special machinery fund, and we spent more than that last year. Correct?
Yeah.
So whatever you spend out of it, then the rest will have to come out of the road and bridge fund.
And so if you're gonna continue on this path of trading out these graders, when the first set that you replaced come in in 3 years, let's say, 2 years time from now, what is the cost on that? What is the plan for that?
You talking about,
I'm saying you replaced 2 of them originally, 3 or 4 years ago?
They
we're-
offer a higher buyback.
yeah, there's a buyback on
least-
them, and I can't tell, I have that right in front of me, so I can't tell you.
I'm
what
just
it is.
asking, like, do we have any idea what percentage of the original cost you're looking to reinvest?
For some reason,
I
I'm
don't
gonna say it
remember the
because I don't
numbers,
know.
no.
For some reason, $67,000 is sticking in my head.
I mean,
That-
the problem with that is by the time you get 7 or 8 years go by, the the cost of the increase, you know, you're gonna end up spending that same dollar amount just to get back to where you were. You're not really gonna spend any less money. I mean, you basically, you're entering into a plan where you're continually committing to spend that money every year. Just because
But
you replace them all.
you're buying back a 4,000 and some hour machine instead of a 20,000 hour machine. Your value of the machine that you're turning in is so much higher that.
And I think that they had a set dollar amount that they would buy back, give us back, and so our initial purchase of a new machine would be far less than what we're doing right now with paying them outright. But I would have to pull that information, because I don't remember what those numbers were. I'm not so sure that John Deere last year offered a buyback.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
They did, because because it was a 5-year instead of a 4-year guarantee on the percentage of the cost or the number, whatever, either way that went. I do remember that.
I can ask them to come up with, or to let you know what those are, because I don't remember the numbers, or I can pull the contract.
Well, I'm just looking at it this way, you know, my concern is, we're talking about the equipment and continually spending that every year to have new equipment. And I understand the maintenance issues and things like that, but we're talking about a grader that costs more than a bridge replacement on this bridge replacement list. And we're talking a bridge that would hopefully last us 25 years, and a piece of equipment that may last us 4 years or 5 years. And so there's no use in having top of the line equipment when we're just closing down bridges. I mean, you're talking about replacing 11 graders or 11 bridges. The bridges last 25 years, the graders last 4 years. John Deere gave us, that was one of the carrots he threw in, was, well, it's gonna be a 5-year guarantee instead of a 4-year guarantee.
But
So,
you can also do a 50 or 60 or 1,000 or more repair on one of those road graders too.
well, and I understand that, but that's, you know, we always talk about not being able to afford the manpower, but you can, I mean, $50,000 or $60,000 for an employee who would be capable of doing something like that is different than paying someone $30,000 who can't do that, and then we spend the difference in buying the new equipment and committing ourselves to spending that amount of money on a rotating basis, basically, you know, perpetually. There's no end to it. And wouldn't that mean that the original ones that you bought are due for a trade-in now? If it was like a 4-year?
5 years. They were gonna be on a 5-year rotation.
So if we're still committing money to buying brand new ones, how are we gonna have the money to do the trade-in on the ones that were originally purchased?
What?
You have 11 of them, so let's just split it in half and say it takes 5 years to do 11. Well, it's 6 years to do 11.
We won't do the backup machine.
Okay, well, let's
So
say
in
10.
year
We have
6
10, it takes 5 years to do 10. So did you start 5 years ago?
No, we
No.
started 3 years ago.
We've got 2 years left.
Okay.
So in year 6, they will budget less money to replace 2 motor graders, because they've got a guaranteed buyback.
But there's gotta be
At
an
a high
overlap from when you want the guarantee, so you don't want the guarantee buyback to expire, so there's gotta be an overlap, because if you're taking 5 years to buy them all, and it's a 4-year guarantee.
It's a 5-year.
It was only a 4-year guarantee by CAT this year, because that was one of the determining factors between the two, between John Deere and CAT. It was 5, he offered 5 years
I
on
really
John
have no
Deere.
idea, so how about we stop the conversation, and I'll research it and figure it out, or I'll ask the highway department to get that, so then that way you'll know. So then that way
Well, I
you'll
think we
look
should
at
have some
facts.
preliminary discussion before we spend the money. I mean, it's apparent that that's the intention, is to spend that money, so we should definitely have a little bit of consideration as to where there's gonna be that overlap, because there, according to my calculations, unless it's 5, even if it is 5 years, Terry, then it would be in the 5th year. So let's say it's 5 years. That 5th year, that you're still purchasing 2 brand new pieces, you're also looking to get that guaranteed buyback on the original 2 pieces, so that's 4 pieces of equipment, 2 at full price for the brand new upgrade, and 2 at the trade-in, you know, the new value less the trade-in value. So you're looking at 4 pieces of equipment in the 5th year, according to my calculations, unless I'm just really off, right?
I don't know, you lost me a long time ago. You're ready to adjourn.
But this was your plan. You guys did this, and you can't even explain it.
You've been going so much on so many different things there that I have no idea where you're at. We'll adjourn until next Monday, the 19th at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Don, I'm gonna leave these right here in the middle of the table. They're not mine.
Okay, did you guys give